Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. This is Tuesday, 21st of February. We're almost about to start.
Ánimo. Bueno, el día de hoy vamos a
Today we're going to inform
sobre
you
la situación de
about
seguridad
the
en el país,
security situation
como
in
lo
the
hacemos
country,
cada 15 días,
as we do it every
también
15 days. And as well,
vamos a celebrar
we're going to
el
celebrate
hecho histórico de que
the historic
el día
facts
de ayer
that yesterday
se cumplieron 90 años de la
was 90
creación
years of
del
the
Banco Nacional
creation
de Obras y Servicios
of
Públicos,
the
BANOBRAS,
National Bank
y ha
of
sido una institución
Public
importante
Services.
para el desarrollo
It was a
de
really
México.
important work for the development of
Vamos,
Mexico.
pues primero, si ya está Jorge Mendoza, director de Banobra, listo.
Jorge Mendoza will be ready, director of
con Banobra, y luego
Banobra,
seguridad.
and then security.
Muy buenos días a todas y todos.
Very good morning to everybody, members of
y a
press,
todos los que nos escuchan por las redes
and
sociales,
everybody that hears and
y
listens
los
to us
diferentes medios
in
de
the
comunicación. Si pasamos
social
primero un
media
video, por
and
favor.
different
Muchas gracias.
media outlets. If we can watch the video first.
En el año de 1933,
In 1933,
ante la inminente necesidad de incentivar la
upon
inversión en obras y
the
servicios
necessity to
públicos o de
incentivize
interés colectivo,
the
nació una
collective
institución con
interests,
una misión clara,
there was an
alentar el
institution
desarrollo
that was
de
born
infraestructura
with a
que
clear
llevara
mission,
bienestar a las y los
with the
mexicanos
infrastructure
en tiempos de grandes
to
carencias,
take to the people of
marginación
Mexico margination
y ausencia de
and
servicios básicos.
absence
Todo
of
ello
basic
en el
services, all of
contexto
that
de
in the
los
context
años
of
posteriores a la
the
Revolución
post years of
Mexicana y a la
revolution,
crisis
Mexican Revolution,
económica
and the
mundial derivada de
economical
la Gran
crisis
Depresión
derived from
al
the Great
inicio de los
Depression
años
and the
30.
beginnings of the
Es
30s.
así como el 20 de
It's like
febrero
that
de
in 20
se
February
constituye el
1933,
Banco
Nacional
Nacional
Hipotecario de Obras Públicas
al cual
is
conocemos hoy
constituted
como Banobras.
by the one that is now known as Banobras. At that moment where Banobras is born, there is a Mexico that still, we don't know what the project is. The position of the state's revolutionary is the one to create institutions, new institutions that assist to the development in the middle of the Great Depression where there was unemployment. Well, it was a good idea for public working. But the most important thing is that the banks existed since the Porfiriato days, but not for public works. So the social sense this gets shows us exactly what this bank needed to be doing. The bank that needed to provide the resources that maybe would not be able to be paid with the distribution of the budget, in a way that in every region, in every town, in every ranch, there could be the possibility to generate public works backed up with from the bank and
A lo largo
Banobras.
de estos 90 años, el financiamiento de Banobras ha sido fundamental en el desarrollo de
This
proyectos de
work of the
infraestructura
bank has been
carretera,
fundamental in the
presas,
creation of
plantas de
dams, roads,
tratamiento,
treatment plants, ports,
aeropuertos,
airports,
clínicas y hospitales,
hospitals and clinics,
escuelas,
schools and universities,
alumbrado público,
public lighting, drainage,
alcantarillado, sistemas de transporte
sewer
masivo,
drainage,
así como de
massive transport
infraestructura
infrastructure,
deportiva,
and
espacios
sports
públicos,
infrastructure,
lúdicos y
public
culturales,
spaces,
proyectos
cultural
que generan
and
empleo
ludicrous,
y bienestar para
projects
las y
that
los
generate
mexicanos.
jobs for all Mexican people. Banobras is in the great working sector, is a great backing for the entire political areas. We can be very brilliant designing where we know that we need to connect the southeast of the country, but it's no good to be brilliant and distinguishing these projects if we don't have the weapon that we need, which is the financial weapon. In this case, in Banobras, it's not only an executor of credit, but it has constituted an entire experience and finance of public works, and that's why after 90 years of its service, it's an expert banking system. We have a relation of many years, decades with Banobras. Banobras has been a key part in the development of ICA as a company. We are public work constructors, and we are developers of infrastructure concessions. We have a lot of examples of Banobras, and it's been our bank for development of infrastructure. It's been fundamental. The best thing we do is to better people's worlds and lives. It's not only a generator of infrastructure, and it's an assistance to helping cities grow. Little people are vinculated to the process and the construction as the people with the ones that we deal with in that bank. It has worked in infrastructure that is the most important in the country, and that's its golden age of this. They've been developing everything that is the finance, but they know how to construct. They also know how to operate, and they also know how to conserve. And that is good that a bank has all these works. Banobras is a fundamental development type of work. In Mexico City, Banobras has assisted us in a lot from the refinancing of the debt and giving us excellent interest to be able to utilize the public resources. It has also helped us in the financing of great public works. It's been fundamental in the investment of the public works and other places as the ones we do in Mexican governments. It has helped me before, and we're looking for something special, for example in FICE, we have not been able to get that done before, but now that we have the money on time, we can respond to the inhabitants, in this case, Barrio del Mirador, with a necessity to do certain works for a long time. Banobras participates in the strategic projects of the present administration, in which there are the Tren Maya, Tren Interurbano Mexico-Toluca, suburban train to the Felipe Ángeles Airport, the roads in Oaxaca and Nayarit, Ampliación México-Pachuca, refineries of Tula, Salina Cruz, and Deer Park, Pemex financing, promoters and contractors, the hospitals of IMSS and AZTECA, Social Security. Today, with 90 years of history, Banobras is the fifth bank, biggest one of the system of financial system in Mexico, and it consolidates as a key institution that promotes financing for projects, administration of Fondo Nacional de Infraestructura, International Fund of Infrastructure, that helps for public transportation, access to water, solid residuals, get taken care of, infrastructure of roads, amongst others. And just the same, Banobras is making happen two important road projects that will better the connectivity, security, and logistical costs in the states of Oaxaca and Nayarit. The bank maintains, rehabilitates, and operates 15 sections of the web of roads, bringing quality services to the people that are using. In this fourth transformation, Banobras will celebrate 90 years, taking the reason of the bank of being a leverage for the development of infrastructure, the weapon of finance of the federal government, and works as a reactivation of economical reactivation. It helps out in every action. It's a very good savings. Ever since it started, I use it every day. It's important that we know that all of this is here. There are works that push our states, our city. I think that's why we're here, to make the change. I feel proud, and I really like the type of work that I do. They gave me the opportunity to realize that I'm capable of great things. With these types of works, of course, we're going to be advancing and we're going to be growing.
años de
90 years of financing of the well-being. Banobras.
Muy bien, pues muchas gracias por su atención.
Thank you very much for your attention. As you can see in the video, Banobras is 90 years at work. Banobras was the very first bank of development created in Mexico, and it was created at a moment where it was really important in the history of our country, and in a post-Mexican Revolution where there was a lot of lack of a lot of needs, missing of basic services, and Mexico has been impacted in that moment for the Great Depression that had caused a great financial crisis. If we can go through the next.
Siguientes, por favor. Siguiente.
Next one.
Durante estos 90 años,
during these 90 years,
Banobras ha sido parte de
Banobras has been a part of the key sectors and the best working structures that we're capable of. You can see in the bottom part there exist some sections of some jobs, some work that we've done: México Puebla, Circuito Interior, Universal City, Aeropuerto Monterrey, and in Tlatelolco as well.
Siguiente lámina, por favor. Ahora, el día de hoy,
now, today we have taken this vision, the social vision, which is the one that was Banobras was created, and we focused all our efforts to finance projects of infrastructure that start development and are the better things for the Mexicans. And during these last few years, we have managed to increment the size of the bank in terms of credit in 26%, and this allows us to consolidate as the fifth biggest bank in the Mexican system. This growth was given with great results, financial results, and with that, and based with our utilities, we have been able to turn in 48,000 million to IRS office, the same ones that were utilized for other projects of infrastructure in the future projects, and to fortify the rest of the development banking. The next one here is that we've managed to give out 486 million pesos in credits. More important is that the 34% of these credits are managed and taken to the southeast of our country, and the sectors that we've backed up the most are energy with 36.8%, the roads 29%, and public transportation with 3.2%. We've also done a very great effort to finance the states in all the republic. We have managed a financing of 221,000 million pesos, where 49% were for refinancing and 51% for new credits for productive investments. Some of the states that received these assistance: Veracruz, Mexico City, Quintana Roo, Oaxaca, and Nuevo León, amongst others. If we can see in the next chart, you can see that Banobras has done a very great effort in financial inclusion. We've been a part of the financing of the municipalities in our country, and we've been able to give credits to 234 municipalities and 7 entities for municipalities. For those municipalities that couldn't get a credit, or that as how they chose not to get, we provided technical assistance to more than 3,356. In the next chart, you can see that Banobras has been the principal tool of the Mexican government, and we've been able to provide millions of Mexican pesos to the priority works, amongst others, Tren Maya, Tren México-Toluca, Suburbano, the one that heads to the airport Felipe Ángeles, urban transportation in Mexico City, Guadalajara, Monterrey, and the roads Puerto Escondido with Postal a Las Varas, Ramara Tepic, the conjunction area Topomo, Vallarta, México Pachuca, and Guadalajara,
En la siguiente
Colima.
lámina podemos ver que también participamos en el sector de energía con la refinería
On the
de
next one, we
Tula,
can see
Salina
that we
Cruz, Deer
participate
Park,
in Salina
líneas de
Cruz,
créditos a
Deer Park,
Pemex,
credit
también a
lines
sus
to Pemex,
proveedores y a sus
and their
contratistas.
providers and contractors.
Somos también parte del esfuerzo
We are as
del
well
Internet
part of
para
the effort
todos,
of Internet
a
for
través de
everybody
ANDRES, que es un
through
financiamiento que ha
AZTECRON,
sido
that
muy
is a
importante
financing
para
that has been
nosotros. Y en el
really
sector
important for
salud
us,
hemos
and
tenido la
the health
oportunidad de
system,
financiar
we've been
6
able to
hospitales
provide 6
del IMSS y el
hospitals
ISSSTE.
of IMSS and AZTECA and back them
Algo
up.
también que muchas veces no
Something
se
that
cuenta, que es un esfuerzo
is
muy
not known as
importante de
well,
Banobras, que pueden ver en la siguiente lámina,
that we can
es
see
el
in the next
esfuerzo
chart, is
fiduciario.
the
Banobras es uno de los
fiduciario effort.
principales
Banobras is
fiduciarios
one
en
of the
nuestro país.
principal efforts
Estamos
of our
administrando
country. We are administering
160 fideicomisos entre los públicos y
160
privados. Solamente en 2022 atendimos más de 26,500 órdenes e instrucciones de pago, y dentro de este esfuerzo de fiduciario también estamos administrando la red carretera concesionada del FONADIN, que son 50 tramos carreteros de más de 4,500 kilómetros. Otra cosa también que se comenta poco de Banobras es que Banobras también está involucrado en la construcción de algunos tramos carreteros, y actualmente estuvimos involucrados en 6 tramos carreteros, de los cuales están la Oaxaca-Puerto Escondido, que estamos esperando terminar en los próximos meses.
Sorry, and we're waiting to finish on the next few months the roads to Nayarit, that is the Barras of Compostela and the Compostela Tepic, that is changing the dynamics of the logistical ways in that state. Mexico Pachuca, that has concluded last year, and it was really important to better the connectivity of Felipe Ángeles Airport, as well of the sector Guadalajara-Colima that was inaugurated last year.
En el mantenimiento, rehabilitación y operación de 15 tramos carreteros de 906
We are also involved in some roadways of 906 kilometers. In the next one, I want to mention that a financial weapon that we have here in the federal government is the infrastructure fund. We have approved 57 backings with a total of 70,000 million pesos, of which 20% are regainable and 80% are to lost funds. In this work of FONADIN, we back up the states in the operation of 15 projects of massive transportation and in 11 states of the Republic. We are also explaining that Banobras, with the works and the economical stabilizing points, we've been in important work against COVID-19. We administer the funds for the well-being. This is where the payments generate and the purchases of insums of medical and equipment, vaccines against the COVID. We also had a good year in 2020. We had the best year in the history of Banobras, thanks to the fact that we were present in all the refinancing and credits that were required at that moment. And on the next spreadsheet, we can see that in these last few months, we've been able to look to the future. We've done a strong effort to share Banobras as a sustainable bank with a perspective in gender. We've been able to provide political and environmental views. This has bettered our credit system and to be able to share with other banks and turn into the emitter of debt
por encima no solamente
for
de las
over
entidades
and on
públicas,
top of
sino
not
también por
only
los
the
corporativos
public
y
entities,
empresas
but the
privadas. Tan solo
private
en estos
companies
4 años hemos emitido 12
as
bonos
well.
sustentables por
Just
un
up to
total
date,
de
we have
casi
been able to emit
35,000 millones de pesos,
12
de los cuales
sustainable
2 de estos
bonuses
bonos
with
tuvieron
millions
perspectiva
of
de género,
pesos involved,
es
and
decir,
two of
se
these, for
utilizaron
example,
esos recursos
were
para
gender
proyectos
perspective,
que ayudaran
meaning that
a
these
la mujer.
resources were able to be utilized for the women's health.
También quisiera mencionar que
I want
Banobras
to mention as
cuenta
well that
con un
Banobras
capital humano muy
has
valioso.
a
Tenemos
human
alrededor de
capital very
1,200
valuable. We have
empleados que dedican
around
tiempo y
1,200 people
esfuerzo
that dedicate
para
time and
mejorar la
effort to better
capacidad operativa de
the
esta
capacity
institución,
of this
y sin el
institution,
trabajo de ellos, pues
and
todos
in
estos
the
logros no
work for
serían
them,
posibles.
all
Entonces
these
aprovecho este momento
measures
para
would not
agradecer
be
a todas y
possible.
todos los
And I'll take
trabajadores
the time
de
to
Banobras.
appreciate all the work from
Y
the people of
finalmente, para
Banobras.
concluir con esta
And finally, to
presentación,
conclude for
quisiera
this presentation,
reiterarles que
I would like to
Banobras,
reiterate that
el
Banobras,
más importante logro en esta
the most
administración
important
es
accomplishment in
que
this administration is
retomamos la
that we
visión
retake
social con la que
the
fue
social
creado
vision
y solamente estamos
it was
participando y
created with,
utilizando
and
los
we are
recursos
only
públicos
participating in using
para atender
public
las
resources to
necesidades de la
tend the
población
necessity of
y poder anclar
the people
proyectos
and
de
be able to
infraestructura que
anchor
generen
infrastructure
desarrollos
projects
y
that
que mejoren la
generate
calidad de
developments
vida de
and better the
todas
way
y
of
todos los
life of all the
mexicanos.
Mexican
Muchas gracias por la
people.
atención
Thank
y
you for your
felicidades
attention
por los
and
90 años.
congratulations for the 90 years.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Con su permiso, señor presidente, vamos a informar sobre la seguridad conjunta del 7 al 20 de febrero.
We have from February, from the 7th to the 20th, when it comes to these operations, we have 187,000 more members. 26% is the logistical backing of all the operations. You can see all that takes these and makes these operations possible: the vehicles, the National Guard, Secretary of Marines, Air Force, and the National Guard are doing. When it comes to the next actions, where there are 37,933, we're going to be seeing each one of them. When it comes to the maintenance of the state rights, when it comes to sea, land, and air, we have spread out 17,000 members. When it comes to the sea, there's 240 operations at sea and 180 inland of security operations. And when it comes to the air, 250 flights of guarding and permanent against the narco trafficking and the illicit fishing. Total of operations 670 when it comes from the 7th to the 20th of this month. When it comes to the protection in the security realm, in the ports, this institution provides security to 117 ports and terminals. 20 of them are being taken care of the port security or Coast Guard, and 97 of the naval members. What was done in this period: on foot patrolling, 3,100 kilometers, in vehicles, 38,000 kilometers, in boats, 1,300 nautical miles, 80,600 for vehicles, inspections for people, 202,000, 21,700 for containers, drone inspections, seizures of 2 kilos of marijuana just now. And this boat, for example, that had this cocaine here in the outer layer, we detected this cargo of cocaine. When it comes to what is the airport of the Mexico City airport, we have more than 2,800 members working there. There was 150 medical assistants or backing, 540 to the users, 560 people that were not admitted to the airport, 8 people detained, and what have we been getting is more confidence towards the institution and the work that we are doing in the airport. Security, efficiency, speed in paperwork, migratory control, and a bettering on the transiting and vehicles. And when it comes to intelligence, after the event of the capture of Ovidio Guzman on the 9th, there was intelligence information that there was this house where they were grouping and rearming, and we did an intelligence type of operation where we coordinated to get 33 long weapons, 33 cartridges, and 3,999 cartridges. And keeping up with those types of works in the Guadalajara Road, Colima-Guadalajara Road, you can see Jose Daniel N., that is a member that had attacked people from the National Guard and was stopped. In Ocotito Guerrero, this person was stopped as well. That is part of the Grupo Los Ardillos. And when it comes to eradication of fields that we started on the 7th of January, we have 27th of January, we have 28 plants or locations, in total 40 when it comes to the year, 2 million approximately in plants, 6 million in marijuana. There are 20 areas that we take care of, 2.3 million plants in total. People that were in the area, 2,800 of our members doing that. And when it comes to clandestine laboratories, the operation started on the 27th of January. 9 of them have been taken 220 kilograms of crystal, chemical precursors, 15,400 liters, and 6,300 of other type of precursors. When it comes to assurance of drugs and armaments in these different places, Veracruz, San Felipe, Baja California, Cajeme, Sonora, Playa del Carmen, Chilpancingo, Ciudad de Mexico, Mexico City, in total 35 weapons, 430 cartridges, 10 vehicles, 6 kilograms of marijuana, 5 grenades, 21 detainees, 830 doses of drugs. When it comes to medical attention in first contact, of places of difficult access we have been undertaken in these states: Baja California, Oaxaca, Chiapas, Baja California Sur. All these states have been benefited. In 2023, we are giving the service in Guerrero, in Tabasco, Campeche, Yucatan, and Quintana Roo. Two airplanes, ambulances, vehicles. It's been done in conjunction with the IMSS and DIF, Health Secretary, and the entities that I just mentioned, working together with us. When it comes to other types of relevance, location in La Mar, we have seized thousands of cocaine kilograms. 10 people were detained, 4 Mexicans, 6 from Ecuador. 3 ships, minor ships, were taken into custody, and 1,900 liters of combustibles. When it comes to operations of search and rescue, what I mean, life-saving operations, Secretary of Defense and the Marines and the Marine departments, we have just under 2,900 members working, with 22 of them located in the Pacific Ocean and 11 in the Gulf of Mexico. Of these ships, we have a search and rescue team, what we call Usar Marina, that was provided to Turkey. In the operations that were undertaken in this period were 2,900 elements in the areas, 30 rescues, diverse rescues, and 5 medical evacuations. They also include with a search and rescue center, 4 centers, 4 regional and 19 sub-centers, 68 people in the areas. There was given a backup to 2 different aerial rescues in that area. When it comes to Tren Maya, when it comes to Interoceánico of Tehuantepec, there's 1,900 members to give security to the 3 sections from Coatzacoalcos to Salina Cruz, from Coatzacoalcos to Palenque, and from Ixtepec to Ciudad Hidalgo. There are 17 bases of operations and 3 naval stations, 9 with 1,900 providing security. And in the last section, when it comes to my part, in the DN3E plan of the National Guard and patients attended to in the installations of the Army and Secretary of the Marines, 299 vaccines of the COVID applied, 10,564, and just under 9,000 members displayed in that area.
Con su permiso, señor presidente, continuamos con el informe.
Mr. President, we'll continue with the information.
En el ámbito de la Guardia Nacional, tenemos
in the National Guard, we have 128,233 members. From those, to the 2024 time, will be a total of just under 158,000.
Aproximadamente 15,000 por año, 15,000 este año y otros tanto en el siguiente. De todo este total se
From all this total, there is 869 different specialty organisms. 754 already function, and with the personnel that we are recruiting, there are 150 that are still pending. In the construction of companies, we have 264 already done. 80 are in a process of construction, and 150 are pending to start, where we have doing paperwork being done over the roads and the locations where these companies are going to be establishing. We are also in coordination with 7 states locations, 15 for the battalions, and the habitational units. 1 is already concluded and 4 in construction. When it comes to assistance, where the National Guard was involved to disperse programs, in total was to the Agricultural Secretary and Rural Area 402 trips of fertilizer. That comes to 14,949 tons of this. In the penitentiaries, there was 8 internal personnel moved. 641 were changed from location to another locations, and in the security plan, when it comes to El Metro of the Mexico City area, we keep providing security to 190 stations. They're integrated in the 12 different lines of operation. When it comes to the intelligence aspects of this, in the period from the 7th to the 20th of February, with all the intelligence instances that the federal government has, CNE, the Army, Marines, the Prosecution Office, and we joined forces, and in this period there was 438 detainees with the intelligence works, and from those 18 are very relevant, that we can see them over here in Matamoros on the 7th of February. 3 people detained. The Army participated, the National Guard, CNE, and the Prosecution Office of the Mexican Republic. There's this leader here dedicated to the traffic of people and the movement of drugs towards the U.S. These are from the Cartel del Golfo. 9th of February, 6 people. These are part of the Cartel del Pacifico, responsible to move drugs from Central and Southern America to the U.S. and as well in charge of the acquisition of all the insumes that all the chemical precursors are required to elaborate methamphetamines. In Pénjamo, one more person of the Gente Nueva, Salazar, in the Cartel del Pacífico. One more person as well from Gente Nueva. Salazar, ¿estás despierto, amor?
En Chetumal, el día 17, también algún operador logístico del grupo del cártel de Caborca, también vinculado al cártel del Pacífico en Mexicali.
Grande.
El día 18, otra persona más que son
as well in Mexicali,
integrantes de
people that are integrated
por delitos de
because of delinquency
delitos contra la salud,
and
de esa manera,
delinquency against health, and in the same way, but in San Juan del Rio,
también por los mismos delitos.
Because of the same situation, they were detained. As you can see, in relevant events of tensions, we have in Mazapa de Madero, 9th of February, there was 6 people detained with a long weapons with chargers and municipalities. As well on the 9th day in Coajimulco de Zúñiga, 5 members of the cartel Nueva Generación, 4 weapons, long arms, chargers and cartridges.
From
the results that we have on this period from 7th to the 20th of February, 506 weapons seized, 29 grenades, 1,868 cartridges, 54, more than 50, just under 55,000 cartridges, chargers, 1,868, 393 vehicles, 4 ships, or small ships, 438 detainees, 2,300 of marijuana, kilograms of marijuana, methamphetamine, fentanyl, as well as pills of fentanyl seized. When it comes to homes, are also seized with cash in dollars and Mexican money. All these seizures, all this on 36% the intelligence was used. When it comes to drug assurances, there was 169 seizures in this lapse. In this time, 6 of them were relevant, 1 of them in San Quintin, 7th of February, 450 kilograms of methamphetamine, with 216 tons of cocaine. In Zapopan, Jalisco, there was 143 kilograms of methamphetamines.
El 15 de febrero en San Luis Río Colorado,
and 15th of February, there was 1,198.35 kilograms of marijuana.
16 en Angostura, Sinaloa,
16 in Angostura, Sinaloa, 1,380 of methamphetamine, and 483 liters of that same methamphetamine.
El 19 de febrero en Naome,
19th of February in Naome, there was 40.8 kilograms of methamphetamine seized, 11th cocaine, and 11 of fentanyl, and 326 grams of this precursor.
Adelante, por favor. When
it comes to farming of cocaine, we managed to get the eradication in this period of 13 different locations in a surface of 13,127 square meters, 11 locations with 3,825 plants. In total, we have 101 locations of this drug and 34 other locations related to that. In seizures of armament, there was 134 seizures. 9 of them were relevant. There was 506 weapons in total seized. On the 8th of February in Tamazopo, San Luis Potosí, there was 13 weapons, long weapons, 1 grenade launcher, 100 chargers, 35,000 cartridges. On the 8th of February, there was a Barrett 50 caliber weapon seized, and various other items related to weapons, chargers, cartridges, and grenade launchers was one, as well as in Culiacan, Sinaloa on 9th of February, a Barrett 50 caliber, long arms and grenades. In Ciudad Juarez on the 10th, 8 weapons, weapons, 6 short, and 23 cartridges. In Guerrero, there was 52 long weapons, 7 short, 21 cartridges, and 461 cartridges, 21 chargers. And on the 12th in San Luis Potosí, there was a 7.62 millimeter machine gun, a 50 caliber weapon, grenade launchers, cartridges, and chargers. On the 10th of February in Camargo, Tamaulipas, was 5 Barrett long weapons, many cartridges and chargers, and an explosive artifact. In Aguililla, Michoacán, 12th of February, another Barrett 50 caliber, long arms, exclusive artifacts, many cartridges, and 16th of February, 2 long weapons, 5 short, 16,760 cartridges seized.
En cuanto a la estrategia para el fortalecimiento de aduanas, continuamos.
When it comes to the strategy of fortification of the customs office and the border locations, we have many different locations with the result of 30 detainees, a 2 million Mexican peso pay or money in checks, also dollars in cash, documents, and $60,320 in cash, 1.2 million in Mexican pesos, 50 vehicles seized, 247 kilograms, 6 weapons, 927 cartridges, and just short of 10,000 components of cartridges.
Hubo 44 aseguramientos en las aduanas, 4 son los relevantes.
There were some in aduanas, for them are relevant. A check for more than $32,577. In Benito Juárez, Quintana Roo as well. There was dollars detained in cash. On the 14th in Toluca, 9,000 components of cartridges. On the 19th of Sonorita, 1.2 million in cash, Mexican pesos. These are the results, the general results of all the combat of narco-trafficking against armed forces and National Guard. The operational number, we have the most number, the 42% of all that we have displayed in the armed forces and National Guard, with 106,155 members. all throughout the area mentioned, and 31% of results
en total. Adelante.
in total.
En el combate al mercado ilícito de
When it comes to the
combustibles, en el
combustible
periodo
fights,
tuvimos
in
1,510 elementos
this period
desplegados,
mentioned, 1,510
aseguraron a una
elements.
persona,
We seized one of
113,704
the person
litros de
detainees.
combustible
More than less than
recuperados, 54
114,000
tomas clandestinas
liters
localizadas
seized,
e inhabilitadas, 16
locations
vehículos
inhabilitated,
asegurados, 11 predios.
54 locations, 16
También
vehicles
en el
seized.
plan de transporte de
As
apoyo
well,
a
on the
Pemex
back
se
end of
trasladaron
transportation, there was
58.7 millones
58.7
de litros de
liters,
combustible
million liters
en 14
that
rutas de
were
abastecimiento.
transported with
Adelante.
our safeguarding.
En resultados relevantes
In
en
relevant
contra de
results
robo de
to find
hidrocarburos, hubo
these
3
thefts,
eventos
there was
relevantes
3
de
relevant
8 que
actions from
existieron en el
8
periodo.
that
El
existed
10
in
de
this period.
febrero en
On the
Llera
10th of
de
February,
Canales,
in Yera
Tamaulipas,
de Canales,
2 tomas
Tamaulipas,
clandestinas,
2
una persona y un
clandestine
tractocamión y se
extractions
recuperaron
locations,
35,000 litros de
one
hidrocarburo.
tractor
El 11 de
seized, one
febrero en
person detained,
Chicolapan,
35,000 liters
un
seized
predio,
of
un
gasoline,
tanque estacionario
and
y una bomba
Chicocuapan.
despachadora y se
There was
recuperaron
also different
4,250
locations
litros
found,
de gas
and we
LP.
recuperated
El día
4,250 liters.
13 en
On the 13th,
Polotitlán,
in
Estado de
Polotitlan,
México,
Estado de Mexico,
se aseguraron
there
10
was 10
predios, 63
different locations
contenedores
with 63
y
containers and
8,355 litros de
8,355 liters
hidrocarburos
of this
fueron
gasoline.
recuperados. Adelante, por favor. En cuanto a la Fuerza de Tarea Conjunta México, esta es la fuerza que tenemos integrada
When it
con
comes
personal
to
del
the
Ejército
forces of
y
the
de la
Army
Guardia Nacional que
and
actúa
National
en
Guard
diferentes
that
estados
work in
coadyuvando
different
a lo
states,
que realizan a las tareas que
coming
llevan a
with
cabo
the type
las
of
fuerzas que
working
están
that the
desplegadas
forces
en los respectivos
are doing
estados.
in their
En
respective
este
states.
periodo
And in
actuaron
this
en 5
period, they
estados:
were acting in 5 different
Zacatecas, Baja
states: Zacatecas, Baja
Guerrero,
California,
Sonora
Baja
y
California, Guerrero,
Estado
Sonora,
de
and
México.
Estado de Mexico.
Adelante. En cuanto al plan DN3,
When
plan
it comes
de
to
la
the
Guardia
NA3
Nacional y
plan,
el plan Marina,
in the National Guard and
28
Plan Marine,
eventos atendidos,
there
con
was 28 events tended
7,641
to
elementos, principalmente
with different elements
atendiendo los
and
frentes fríos
members,
32 y
and
33, lluvias, incendios
7,641
forestales, incendios urbanos
forest
y
fires,
explosiones.
rain,
Adelante,
terrains,
por favor.
and different other assistance
Sobre
that we gave
sofocación de
out.
incendios, la ayuda
When it comes
humanitaria que se
to
le está
forest fire
proporcionando a
assistance
Chile,
in
continúa
Chile,
nuestro personal
we continue working
realizando
there,
estas
conducting these
actividades de
activities
sofocación de incendios,
of
220 elementos
fire
del
fighting
Ejército y Fuerza
in
Aérea
forest,
y 30 elementos del
and
CONAFOR,
30 with 30 elements of
formando
Quantifort and
parte del
120
agrupamiento que está
of
trabajando
the
en la
Air
región de
Force.
Biobío.
We're working in
Y el
Bio
segundo agrupamiento,
and the second
150
group with
elementos de CONAFOR que
150
están
elements of Quantifort
ubicados en la región
that
de Araucanía.
are
Están ya concentrados en
Araucanía
los 2 incendios
location.
más importantes que
They are
tiene
in the
en la región.
strongest forest
Quizá
fires that the
estarán
region
unos
has.
8 días
Maybe
más
they'll be there
realizando esta
about 8
actividad para
days more,
posteriormente ya
completing
concentrarlos
this to put them
aquí
later
a la
on
Ciudad de
here
México.
in Mexico
Adelante,
City.
por favor. También en relación a Turquía, este es
When it comes
el
to Turkey,
informe ya
this is the
final de esta actividad.
final
Ya están
information of this activity. They
concentrados
are
aquí
concentrating here
personal.
in Mexico. They returned.
De los 93 elementos
Of
de
the
Fuerza Aérea
93 members of
y
the Air Force
Ejército,
and Army,
37 de CEMAR y 15
and
de Cruz
37 of
Roja y
SEMAR,
5
and
de
15
Relaciones
of Red Cross,
Exteriores
and 5 of
que integraron
international
toda
relations
esta
that completed
delegación de ayuda
the entire
humanitaria a
team
México.
of
Se
humanitarian
reincorporaron
assistance.
sin novedad.
They
De
came
los
back without
16
incident of
canes,
those
pues
16
nada más hubo
canine
la
units.
pérdida
There
del
was this loss
fallecimiento
of
de Proteo el 10 de
the
febrero.
loss of Proteo, one of the
Todo
K9
lo que
units.
realizaron fue el
All
rescate
that
de
they
4
completed was
personas,
a rescue of 4
37
people,
cuerpos,
37 bodies,
65
4 people
metros de
alive,
escombro,
65 square meters
metros cuadrados de
and
metros
square
cúbicos,
meters,
perdón, de
cubic meters
escombro
of
y 116 consultas médicas que dieron a la
debris
población.
and
Esto
116 medication
cedo la
assistance.
palabra al subsecretario de Seguridad.
Bueno, con su permiso, señor presidente.
Secretary
Buenos
of
días.
Security,
Permitir
good morning,
informar sobre
so that
cero
I can
impunidad
inform
en el
about zero
periodo del
impunity
6
in the
al
period
20
of
de
6th to
febrero
the 20th of
del
February
presente año. Adelante.
of the present year.
La coordinación
The coordination
interinstitucional es muy importante
is
entre las
really
instancias
important
de
in
seguridad,
interinstitutional
principalmente
coordination,
del Gobierno de México, más las
mainly
Secretarías de Seguridad
from the Mexico
y
City
las
area and
fiscalías,
secretaries
tanto
of
la
security
Fiscalía
and
General de la
the
República como las fiscalías
prosecution
estatales. Y
offices
en este
and
caso
the state
también
offices
tenemos
as
un
well.
caso relevante en el que
We also have
participa
a
la
relevant
Policía
case where
Municipal
police,
de Ciudad Juárez.
municipal
Adelante.
police is participating with
El
us.
registro de personas detenidas
The
por
registry of
delitos del Fuero
detainees
Común y
for
Federal,
common situations, 19, just under 20,000, 19,752, and
detenidos y
19,429
presentados ante el
presented
Ministerio
to
Público.
the
Adelante.
public ministry so that they can be processed.
En esta ocasión tenemos la extradición de
In this
5
situation, we
personas.
have the extraction of 5 people.
Son requeridos por diferentes
They are
cortes de
found
los Estados Unidos,
through different
principalmente
courts in
por
the U.S.,
delitos como
mainly to do with
de tipo sexual, tentativa de
sexual
homicidio,
assaults,
lesiones, secuestro y homicidio.
kidnapping, and
Adelante.
homicide, amongst others.
Adelante. También tenemos en esta ocasión la
We
extradición,
also have
pero en esta ocasión de
extradition
Polonia a México. Se trata
from
de Mijail
Poland,
N. Él es
from
requerido por un
Poland to
juez del
Mexico,
distrito con sede en
Mijail,
el
and he
reclusorio
is
sur
required
por
in
el delito de
Mexico
asociación
City because
delictuosa
of
y
the
fraude a instituciones de crédito.
delinquency and fraud
Mijail N.
to credit
es socio de Florian
institutions.
N.
He is associate of Florian
presunto
N.
líder de una banda dedicada a extraer dinero de cajeros
And he's
automáticos
also
en lo que
working
es la Riviera Maya, principalmente en Cancún.
taking money
Florian
from
N.,
other
como recordamos, fue
ATM
detenido en
locations.
mayo del año pasado, también por
If you can
delitos de
remember,
asociación
his partner was
delictuosa.
also
Adelante.
taken
En cuanto al
for the same
los
delinquency
fugados,
situation.
los 30 reos
When it comes to the
fugados, el día
30
de enero
members that
del Cerezo
escaped
número 3
from
de Chihuahua,
Cerezo number
a
3
la
in
fecha se han
Chihuahua,
recapturado 19,
up to date we have recaptured
se
19
han
of them.
localizado sin vida
We found
6
6 of
y
them dead,
continúan 5
and 5 are
prófugos
still
de la justicia.
at large.
Adelante. En esta ocasión tenemos un
At
caso
this time, we
en el
have
que se dio la
a
destitución
case
de
where
servidores
the destitution of
de
public
Cofepris
servants,
aquí en la Ciudad
Cofepris
de
in
México, es
Mexico
un
City.
trabajo realizado
This
por la
is
propia
a work that
Cofepris,
was
la
completed from
Secretaría de Salud,
Cofepris,
la
Health
Secretaría de
Secretary,
Marina,
Marines,
que logran la destitución
that
de
manage
esos
the
cargos
destitution of
de
their
11 servidores públicos
charges of 11
involucrados en
public
actos de
servants
corrupción,
involved in corruption,
principalmente destrucción de
mainly
información y
of
filtración
destruction of
de
information
proyectos
and
de
filtering
modificación
of
de las
projects of
normas
modification
oficiales
of the
mexicanas.
Mexican norm.
Adelante. En detenciones relevantes tenemos
In detention of
en Michoacán
representatives, we
el
have some
caso
in
de
Michoacán.
Antonio
In the
Sebastián,
case of
alias
Antonio
el
Sebastián,
Morelia, por el delito de
and
secuestro
Morelia
express
because of
en
the
agravio de una
express
persona de
kidnapping
oficio mecánico. Además se le
to a
menciona como
person,
presunto
and he's also
jefe
mentioned
de plaza
as supposed
del cártel Jalisco Nueva
jefe de plaza or
Generación
chief in
en
Jalisco Nueva
Morelia,
Generación
Michoacán.
in
Adelante.
Morelia, Michoacán.
Otros detenidos son
Other detainees are
Luis Fernando N.
Luis
y
Fernando
Luis
N.
Ángel
and Luis
N.
Ángel N.
Ellos en el estado de
Those
Hidalgo
they got in estado de
por
Hidalgo.
robo de vehículos con violencia. Lo importante aquí que estas
And
personas
the
se
important thing here
vestían
is
de
that these
policías
people
para
would dress up
cometer
as cops
sus asaltos.
to commit their
Adelante.
crimes.
Tenemos también la
We
detención de
also
una
have
banda dedicada
the
al robo de transporte,
detention
esto en
to
el estado de
a
Puebla. Son 6
gang
personas.
involved in
También aquí lo relevante son que
vehicle
3 de
robbery.
ellos
3 of them
son o eran agentes
or
ministeriales en
were
activo en la Fiscalía General de Justicia del Estado. Adelante.
detectives operating with
Tenemos
the
también la
states.
detención de 10 personas, todas
We also had
vinculadas
the detention
a
of 10
el
people,
homicidio
all
de
related
4
to the homicide of
funcionarios
4
municipales
public
en el
functionaries
municipio de
in the
Solidaridad.
municipio of Solidaridad.
De ellos ya
From
están
those,
vinculados a proceso
some are
7.
processed already. 7 of them are processed.
Ellos fueron detenidos
They
porque
were stopped
cuando
because
sucedió el evento
when this
y el arribo del
happens,
personal de la
and when
fiscalía,
we arrived,
los 10 detenidos se
the
encontraban
10
llevando a cabo
detainees were
labores de
found
limpieza de
cleaning
la
up the
sangre
areas
que había
of the blood
quedado de los 4
that had been
funcionarios
remaining of the
municipales que
municipal
fueron
areas
asesinados en ese bar, La
that were
Cueva.
assassinated in the bar La Cueva.
También tenemos la detención de
We also
2
have the
funcionarios
detention of 2
municipales
municipal functionaries
del municipio de Cuernavaca,
from Cuernavaca,
ellos acusados del delito de homicidio de
accused of homicide
el expresidente del Club
of
Rotario
the
de
ex-president
Cuernavaca,
of
Rafael
Rotario Club
Botello
of
Marín.
Cuernavaca, Rafael
Los
Botello
detenidos
Marín.
son Hugo N.
The detainees
y
are
José
Hugo
Alfredo
N. and José Alfredo
El
N.
primero de ellos, director
First
general
one
del
of them
C4
is
de
General Director of
Cuernavaca
C4 of
y el
Cuernavaca,
segundo, director de la Policía
and the second
Cibernética
one was
también de
Director
ese
of
municipio.
Cyber
Adelante.
Police of that same location.
Otro detenido importante es
Another important
un líder
detainee
del grupo
is a
criminal
leader
Nueva
of the
Alianza,
criminal group
esto en el
Nueva
estado de
Alianza,
en el estado
this
de
in
México.
Mexican
Se
estado.
trata de Humberto N.,
It is
alias
about
La
Humberto
Víbora,
N.,
contaba ya
alias
con
La
orden
Víbora,
de aprehensión
that had
por los
a
delitos
warrant for
principalmente de
delinquencies such
extorsión a
as
comerciantes
extortion
en municipios
in
del Estado de
municipalities of the
México. Otros
Estado de
detenidos
Mexico.
de este grupo criminal
Other
Nueva
detainees of
Alianza
this criminal group,
y que ya han
Nueva
sido
Alianza,
reportados son Carlos
and that have been
Enrique
reported
N.,
are
alias el
Carlos Enrique
Bambán,
N., El Bambán,
y Javier N. La Ciragüeya. Adelante.
and Javier N., the
Una
Mouse.
detención, como mencioné, esto realizado
And
por
as
la
I
Policía
mentioned before,
Municipal
this has
de
been
Ciudad Juárez.
realized from Ciudad
Se
Juárez.
trata de Jorge Manuel
It's
N.,
about Jorge Manuel N.,
acusado de el homicidio de
accused of
6
the
personas.
homicide of
Este hecho
16 people.
delictivo fue cometido en
This
la
delinquency
noche
act
del
was
8 al
committed
9 de febrero
in the 9th of
en
February
4 diferentes
in 4
domicilios
different domiciles
en el fraccionamiento Urbivilla del
in
Prado en
Urbivilla
Ciudad
del Prado
Juárez.
in Ciudad Juárez.
Adelante. Algunos operativos
Some
encabezados o
operations
coordinados por Sedena en este periodo.
coordinated by the
Tenemos
Secretary
53
of Defense.
operativos relevantes que
There were
dieron como
76
resultado
relevant
76
operations
personas detenidas,
with result of
197 armas largas aseguradas,
39 long weapons
más de
seized, cartridges,
634,000
chargers,
pastillas de fentanilo
bullets,
y 128
vehicles,
kilogramos de fentanilo
fentanyl,
granulado.
and
Adelante. Uno de esos
many other
operativos
seizures. One of
fue
those operations
realizado
was
en
completed
Sinaloa,
in
donde
Sinaloa,
se logra la detención
where
de
we
José
managed to
N.,
get
alias
the
Lupe
detainee
Tapia,
Jose N.,
por
or
portación
Lupe
de
Tapia as
armas
alias,
y droga.
for
A él se le
weapons
ubica
handling,
como presunto
and he
operador
is
logístico
known as a logistic operator of Ismael El Mayo Zambada from Cartel del Pacífico, and as well as one of the main producers of fentanyl pills and transportation to the U.S. Another seizure relevant to the operations headed by the Secretary of Defense. One was Alejandro Ronaldo, Edgar Ronaldo, and 3 other people. This was in Matamoros, and the detainee Edgar Ronaldo N. We have him as the leader of human trafficking and for working for the Cartel del Golfo as well. This is in Matamoros, Tamaulipas. Another relevant situation on the operation handled by Sedena was the detention of 4 supposed kidnappers and rescued 3 people, and this was in Tamazopo, San Luis Potosí, as well as the seizures of great quantity of weapons. In operations headed to Samar in this period, we have 26 operations with 42 results of people detained, 1,428 kilograms of cocaine seized, 53 long weapons, and more than 4,000 cartridges. One of those operations was completed in front of the Manzanillo coast in Colima, where the Secretary of Marines found 2 small boats loaded with what seemed to be cocaine. They started, as they noticed we found them, they started throwing the bulk, and we managed to recuperate 1,388 pounds or kilograms of cocaine. We detained 2 Mexican members, 4 people detained as well out of belonging not from Mexico but other countries. And through the prosecution office of Estado de Mexico, we seized Jesus Antonio N. for the feminicidio, or the murdering or the intent to murder a person of elderly age and try to hit her in Ecatepec. There was a situation that was really strong in the web pages. When it comes to people that have been sentenced, 116 people for the murder of Valle de Chalco mayor Francisco, and that happened in 2019. Another sentence for 111 years against Alejandro N. for violation and sexual abuse against a minor, and this was in Tamaulipas. Another sentence, this one of 50 years against Diego N. for being responsible of the feminicide of teacher Jessica González Villaseñor in Morelia, Michoacán. When it comes to feminicidios, feminicide that have been resulted with positive resolution, we got 42 in total, most of them, 13 of them in Mexico City. Sentenced for feminicide, we have 11 people with sentences that come from 50 to 60
Adelante.
years.
Y bueno, para finalizar, el asesinato
To
de
finish
periodistas,
is
tenemos los
the
mismos
assassination of journalists.
datos de la vez pasada.
We have
13 casos
basically
registrados, de
13
ellos
cases
hay
registered,
31 detenidos o buscados,
31 detainees
19
or
ya
looking for,
vinculados a proceso y
19 of them are already
5 ya
processing,
sentenciados.
and 5 have
En
been
el
sentenced.
presente año no
And
se
this
tiene
year,
ningún caso de
we
esta
have
naturaleza.
no case of
Sería
this
cuanto,
nature.
señor presidente.
That would be all, Mr. President.
Con su permiso, señor presidente.
With your permission, Mr. President,
Buenos días a
good
todas
morning
y a
to
todos.
everybody.
La incidencia delictiva.
Delinquency,
Con todo el trabajo que
with all the work
el día de hoy
that
se
we
ha
have been
presentado
doing
por
and
parte de los
presented
integrantes del
by
Gabinete de
the
Seguridad,
Security
mis
Cabinet,
compañeros,
my co-workers,
encabezado siempre
headed
el gabinete
always
por el señor
by
presidente Andrés
Mr.
Manuel López
President
Obrador.
Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador.
Ahora les damos los
Now we will
resultados
provide the results
de los delitos a
of
nivel
the
nacional.
delinquency in a
En
national
la
level.
incidencia delictiva de los delitos del fuero federal,
When
hay
it comes
una
to federal
reducción de
delinquency, there's a
33.3%.
33.3% reduction.
En lo relativo
When
a
it
la
comes
mayoría
to
de los delitos, han estado con reducciones importantes.
delinquencies,
Adelante.
we've been overall going
En
down.
relación con el homicidio
In relation
doloso,
with the homicides,
tuvo 16%
there were
menos
16% less
víctimas
victims
respecto al máximo
when it
histórico
comes
de
to the maximum
2018.
historic of
La tendencia se mantiene
2018.
a la baja.
Tendency keeps going
Adelante.
down.
En este mismo
When it
las
comes to
víctimas
the
de
same
homicidio
location,
doloso,
the
hay
victims
una
of
disminución
homicides, there's
importante
a
con
diminution
respecto a los
important when it comes
años
to the
anteriores.
years
Adelante.
prior.
En la comparativa de
When it
homicidios,
compares to the
también
homicide,
continuamos con una
we continue
variación
with a
hacia
variation to
la baja de
going down of
10.8%
minus
en la presente
10.8%
administración,
when it comes
donde
to the
se ve
present
muy
administration,
claramente
where you can see clearly
las variaciones
the
de
variations
los periodos anteriores con
of the
respecto al
previous
actual.
periods when it
Adelante.
comes to the one now,
También los homicidios
as well as
dolosos,
the
el 46%
homicides,
de
46%
los cuales se concentran en 6
are concentrated
entidades.
in
Ellos
6
son
entities.
el Estado de México,
They are Estado de Mexico, Guanajuato,
Baja
California,
Chihuahua,
Chihuahua, Jalisco,
Jalisco
and
y
Guerrero.
Guerrero. Adelante. En homicidios por cada uno de los 6 estados.
In homicides, through
son,
every one of these states, victims are the ones that are presented in the graph. Where Estado de Mexico, we saw a increment in the last month.
En Guanajuato se ha visto
in
por
Guanajuato,
4
we have
meses
seen it
un,
for 4 months,
una baja,
a low,
una tendencia
a
a
tendency
la
to
baja.
the go down.
Adelante. Lo mismo en Baja California.
Same thing in Baja California, we have
6
seen a
meses
decline,
a la baja.
6 months.
Adelante. Y en Chihuahua,
And
en
in
el
Chihuahua,
último mes,
in the
hubo
last month,
un
there was a
incremento.
increment,
Adelante. En
important increment there,
Jalisco,
and in Jalisco as
también
well.
venía a la
It was
baja
going
y el
down,
último
but
mes tuvo
the last month
29
has been going up
eventos más.
to 29 more events.
También en el caso de Guerrero,
In the case of Guerrero,
se ve
there's an important increment that we've had in this entity.
Aquí también vemos que de los 50
We can see from of the 50 municipalities,
en donde hay una mayor
there is a higher occurrence of delinquencies. 10% has been going down.
Adelante.
When it comes to delinquencies of the common, it usually is up, but now is going down. And the total of the common, which is theft, where you can see that it's going down 20.4% during this government to 20.4%. When it comes to the robbery of vehicles, we have a tendency to go down for a reduction of 38%. When it comes to feminicide, we see it going down to 28.7%. Remember that this is starting from 2020, where it is implemented, and it's starting to count by part of the executive secretary. It is really important that we continue with the situation of the kidnapping, and it's going down with 76.2% minus victims or less victims. And it's important to mention in January of all the prior months is the lowest one since that we have a registry of kidnapping since 2015. As a result of the operations when it comes to kidnapping, in the administration we have 4,973 detainees, 557 gangs detained, and 2,208 victims freed, fundamentally due to the coordination against kidnapping and the anti-kidnapping units of the states. When it comes to extortion, we have an increment of 13.5% when it comes to this period. And we keep working with the operatives with the schools where there are alcoholic sales going, and the points of sale near the schools. When it comes to the theft of fuel, we've gone down to 92.3% less since the beginning of the administration 2018, and this has an estimated from 2018 to January, end of January 2023, 251,312 million pesos saved. And when it comes to the toll booth thievery, with an organized information, we have avoided the loss of 1,898,000 pesos, and from the 2020, since we started this operations and we implemented this to 2023, we've saved 40,238,000 pesos. When it comes to the regularization of vehicles from out of the country or foreign vehicles, this program has been implemented in 14 states that are here, and 143 modules installed, and up to date we have in 2022 for up to February 2023, we have regularized 1,228 vehicles. We have obtained some resources for 3,000,054 pesos.
De este programa, también por instrucción del señor presidente,
and because of this program and this earnings, we're going to be paving the municipalities that contemplate this program. Remind you all, to the users of this program, that this will close on the 31st of March of 2023. Only to point out that the strategy is working because we are generating a down of the delinquencies, and thank all the state of Mexico and everybody that participates in this program. Finally, just present the numbers that when it comes to the market of the well-being, this program that is conducted in the municipalities that are more vulnerable, more marginalized of our country, and that consists of taking there in a free manner objects that are new but that are fundamentally are seized to the delinquents. So here we can see in this second phase, just to update, there was 4 municipalities visited, 26 communities, just under 2,000 families tended to, and we turned in 32,278. We're going to take care of 78 municipalities in Oaxaca, and we will finish there soon and solicit the partners if we can put on a video. With the instruction of Mexican President Licenciado Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador to arrive to the poblations with more need, in 2023, Tianguis de Bienestar will be taking on Mixteca Oaxaqueña to municipalities, mainly of using customs, with providing equipment and items of first necessity. We will be tending to 4 municipalities of the 78 municipios: Santa Catarina, Yusonotú, San Miguel del Grande, Santa Cruz, Cagua, and Santo Domingo Izcatlán, in benefits of a total of just under 2,000 families of 26 communities, where we distributed 32,278 goods such as clothing, shoes, domestic items, and equipments. This is a conjunction to the Defense Secretary of Defense, Presidency, and Public Administration, and Secretary of IRS and Public Credits, through the Institute to return to the people what was stolen, and the Service of Attribution, as well as of the Customs Office in Mexico and the National Guard, institutions that in solidarity are coordinated with the Secretary of Security and that are working with the state and municipal governments together for the good of the people, first the poor.
ver.
Sorry about that.
Ya estamos por terminar lo que tiene que ver con seguridad.
Okay, we're almost done with security.
Tras 15 días de
Through
audiencias
15 days of audiences and testimonies of 26 witnesses in New York,
ha llegado a su fin.
it's almost at its end. We only need the verdict that will continue their deliberation today on Tuesday, 21st of February. Felipe Calderon's Secretary of Security and the AFI director is facing 5 charges, 3 for trafficking, drug trafficking, organized crime, and more, as well as for the people that are in charge of doing this. In case that he is found guilty, he will be sentenced by the judge Brian Cogan, that is well sentenced Chapo Guzman. The witnesses of the prosecution divided and they are formed by agents of the U.S. and Mexico and others called they're criminals that were called in to witness and provide evidence. One of them was Sergio Barragán el Grande, lieutenant of Beltrán Leiva, that revealed the existence of funds created with diverse leaders of Cartel de Sinaloa dedicated specifically to bribe Garcia Luna. Then he declared, Terzo Martinez Sanchez, el futbolista, declared in charge of the cargo transported by train to Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York, which was also confirmed by other agents of different security bodies, such as the DEA and the Customs Office of that country. Oscar Nava, Lobo Valencia, explained the way that the cocaine would come in to the airport in the Mexico City area, controlled by Rey Zambada and Arturo Beltrán. This was confirmed by the ex-police officer Manuel Arellano that fingered Ramón Pequeño directly, the introduct leader, and then the operations director in the airport, Oscar Moreno. Then Avila was the accountant and revealed the existence of a book of accountability, accountant where you can see the payments, registries, rent payments, and payments to public functionaries, state and municipal levels. And from there was registered the name Genaro Garcia Luna under the nickname El Tartamudo, or machine gun, with bribes that fluctuated from $1 to $3 to $5 million. The narco trafficker Colombian Toledo Ortega, alias Conejo, he said that Arturo turned in $300,000 to bribe Communication Media, and Villa, ex-treasury of Coahuila, revealed that Juan Alberto Moreira was governor, established with Garcia Luna payments, triangulated from Coahuila to the newspaper El Universal. Minister Francisco Cañedo Zabaleta declared that he saw Garcia Luna reunited with the narco-traffickers Arturo Beltrán Leiva and Edgar Valdez, better known as La Barbie, and the prosecution officer Betia, jailed in the U.S., revealed that Genaro Garcia Luna and Felipe Calderón Hinojosa asked the ex-governor Ney González to back up Joaquín Guzmán Loera, El Chapo, in the dispute that he sustained against the Beltrán Leiva. The last witness in the prosecution was Jesus Rey Zambada, that assured that he paid personally $5 million to Garcia Luna for information, protection, and the control of the airport of the Mexico City Airport. The defense only called in one witness, now that Genaro Garcia Luna declined to testify. This one was the wife of General Garcia Luna, then tried to explain that the couple got the luxury locations with the payment of a functionary public member. So now the decision is awaited of these 12 different anonymous people.
Bueno, vamos.
Okay, so let's continue.
Mujeres,
women,
mujeres. Dos. Ustedes
two.
dos. Empezamos.
You two. Let's start.
3, 4.
3, 4.
Las dos compañeras. Ustedes.
The two partners there.
Buenos días, señor presidente.
Good morning, Mr. President. Guadalupe Herrera.
La última palabra de Cadereyta y Juárez, Nuevo León. Primero que nada, de manera muy
First of all, in a brief way, great appreciation from Cadereyta, not because the governor or anybody there have thanked the drainage that is there. Thank you for the people of Cadereyta. In 9,053 are approved so that we can vote as women in Mexico. The story is that my mother and my grandmother, that how it was before and how it is now, things have changed. I tried to develop the thinking of the critical thinking of the women that surround me. I live in a place that is really difficult, Cadereyta, Juárez, Nuevo León, where there's 4 to 5 in average executions of women. I want to leave this to the secretary because in Cadereyta and Juárez, women are now selling the drugs. It was before the young, the men, and the kids. Now the mothers are leaving the house, and there's a great quantity of orphans after the executions. But either way, I think women are changing. I'm mentioning the role of the women because in Cadereyta we see a lot of women that are seeing what's happening in the country. When it comes to the election of presidency to the Supreme Court of Justice, we were happy if it was Jazmín or Norma Piña. It gives us a great happiness to the people that we comment to. It doesn't matter, but we get disappointed from the ministry, president of the Supreme Court, with that arrogant attitude, because you can expect that they're wrong even on sentences, but not to respect the institution. You were elected by millions of people, and she was elected by 6. So we are saddened with her performance. We are here to imply that you protect the women, and that even that there's women that are not compromised within the realm, and more women, there's a lot more, and there's a lot more. I'm already going out. The new generation are coming in that have this love for their people. That's why I'm here to ask you not to stop helping women, and I'm really proud that women like her that are in front of institutions so big. Just look at Rosa Isela, from a difference between Genaro Garcia Luna, and she's a woman. Then that's a guarantee in itself. I don't want to disrespect the president there in Cadereyta, but she speaks a lot more with her silence to not speak against the media that she had an attitude against you. And when it comes to Garcia Luna, if they come to condemn him, was it protection of narco or war against narco wars, as Calderón presented it at its time? But we're worried if he's not condemned, then they're going to send him to us. And here, with all due respect, Mr. President, if there's no respect and there's no trust in the judicial power. Thank you very much. That's all.
Mira, vamos nosotros a seguir apoyando a las mujeres.
We're going to keep backing the women. There's constant continuity. And there's proof that there's respect. They participate as never before seen in the public servants service. In the case of the federal government, practically half of them are women, and they help me out a lot. And as well, when it comes to benefits,
si no son mayoría las mujeres que reciben apoyos, ya están a la mitad. Es decir,
women and that are receiving their assistance, at least half in the country are beneficiaries as well as men. There are cases, for example, with the grants provided for students that are around 11 million. The majority that receives the grants are women. And in the program Sembrando Vida, that is work in the fields, as well, the percentage of women that are benefited with this program is really, really important. It goes over 30%, and that's how we're going to continue. And the rest is not so important. And it's sustained that the way is funds. What is really important is that the judicial power, so that they can act with honesty, with only their boss, the people of Mexico. The problem with the judicial powers is that for a long time, above all, starting the neoliberal period, they submitted themselves to as employees of groups, economical groups, of people of interest, created interest, national and international. So judges, ministers, defenders of personal people, of people in power, tended to lawyers of the great lawyer house, the big penal areas, protecting delinquency of mid-levels, and even defending external or foreign companies against public offices and companies. In the case of the power company, were the main defenders of these foreign companies in the energetic sector are judges, ministers, magistrates, and other institutions that created during the neoliberal period upon the reforms or so-called structural reforms that was not much than the privatization of the goods of the country for personal people. They created the supposed autonomous organisms. For example, they created this organism to avoid the monopoly. COFECE it was called. Because they started from sacking Pemex and the electricity company, and to leave the merchants of the market to external companies that started from the supposed or utilized as an excuse the fact that they were monopolized, like Pemex and the electrical and power companies. So there was necessity to open the market to create competence. So They
como
allowed
Iberdrola en el
monopoly
caso
come in,
eléctrico,
like
y
Iberdrola
como
in the electrical realm,
muchas empresas
and many other
extranjeras.
companies external.
Bueno, pues ese COFEFE,
Well, that COFECE,
todo lo que
everything that
se hacía
was done
para proteger a Pemex,
to
para
protect
proteger
Pemex,
a
to
la Comisión
protect
Federal de Electricidad,
the
que
power company
habían dejado a las dos empresas
that had left
en
both
estado
companies in a
lamentable,
state of
porque lo
lament,
que querían era que desaparecieran
because what
por
they wanted
completo. Nada
was
más,
for them
en
to
el caso de la
disappear.
industria eléctrica,
Just alone in the case of the
si no hubiésemos
industrial
intervenido, si no se hubiese dado el cambio, la
realm, if we
Comisión
hadn't
Federal de
intervened,
Electricidad
the
estaría
Electrical Commission or Power
generando
Commission
apenas
would be generating barely
el
today
20%
the
de la
20%
energía
of
eléctrica que
the
consumimos en el país.
electrical energy that we consume in the country.
Cuando hace
When
25 años
almost
era
25
la
years
que
ago
generaba
was
toda
the
la energía
one
eléctrica
that
que
generated all the electrical energy
consumíamos
that we
en
consumed
ese entonces en el país,
back then,
porque fueron creciendo
because they
las
kept
empresas
growing
particulares
these
y el
particular
propósito era
companies,
quitarles.
and the purpose
¿Qué
was
creen
to
que
remove
pasa?
them. What do you think
Termina
happens?
su
So,
tiempo como directora de COFECE,
director of COFECE
la abogada que
finishes, this
siempre
lawyer that was
estuvo
always there,
amparándose
backing herself
contra
up with
las empresas públicas, y me mandan a
against the
decir de una
public
empresa
companies,
de Monterrey,
and they send me a message from Monterrey, I think was Alpha or
no
something,
tenía yo inconvenientes
if I didn't have
porque
any
querían
problem,
contratarla
because they wanted to hire her
como funcionaria.
as
Le digo,
a
no
public
tengo ningún inconveniente.
server.
Pues qué inconveniente
And
puedo
I don't
tener.
have any problem with that, I
Porque
said,
parte de lo que hicieron
because part of what they did,
estos legisladores conservadores fue
this
bloquear,
conservatives, was block,
limitar
limit
la ley de austeridad,
the law
en
of
donde
austerity,
se
where
establecía
it was
que
established
un funcionario
that
público
a public
no
functionary
podía
did
terminar
not or was not
su cargo
allowed
y
to
pasar
finish their
a la
term and
iniciativa
pass
privada,
through the
porque había un
private
conflicto de
sector
intereses,
because there's a conflict of
como lo hizo
interest,
Cedillo,
as
dando
Cedillo
el mal
did,
ejemplo,
given the bad
que
example,
termina de presidente y se va a trabajar
that he
de
finishes in
asesor
presidency and he goes as a
de
counselor
una empresa ferrocarrilera
of a
a la
railway
que se le entregó
company to
los
whom it
ferrocarriles
was giving
nacionales,
the national
o
railways,
Calderón, que
or
termina de
Calderon that
presidente y
ends
se va a
up
trabajar con
as
Iberdrola.
presidency and goes to
Entonces, cuando
Iberdrola.
llegamos,
So when we
se
arrived,
envía esa iniciativa de
that
reforma,
initiative is
se
sent
aprueba,
as a reform, it's
pero
approved,
luego la Corte,
but
el
then the
Poder
court,
Judicial,
the judicial
la
power,
limita,
limits
porque
it.
decíamos, tienen que pasar
Because
10
we said
años
there's
para
got to
que un
be 10
funcionario
years
pueda
for a
trabajar
public
en la
functionary
iniciativa privada.
can work
Entonces,
in private sector.
la limitaron,
So
la
that was
declararon
limited.
inconstitucional,
They declared it
y le
inconstitutional
quitaron
and they took
ese
away
tiempo. Por eso,
that time, the 10 years.
ahora se dan
That's
estos
why
casos.
these cases are being given.
Yo no tengo ningún inconveniente porque
I don't have any inconvenience with that,
legalmente
but
lo puedo hacer.
legally I can do
Pero
it.
¿qué
They can
es
do it.
esto? Una
But
inmoralidad.
what is this? This is an
Es
immorality.
demostrar
It's
que
to
todos
demonstrate that
estos
that
institutos
all these
supuestamente
institutions,
autónomos
supposed
crearon
autonomous,
no para defender
were
al
created
pueblo,
not to defend the people,
sino para defender
but to
a
defend
una oligarquía, para
a
decirlo
hierarchy,
con claridad.
oligarchy, to see it,
Sí. Y
say
lo
it
mismo
clearly.
pasa en el Poder
And the
Judicial.
same thing is happening in the
demás
judicial power.
Es lo de menos, ¿no?
The
Es
rest
como
is the least.
el que
It's like
se presenta una iniciativa para
when an
que se
initiative
aumente
is presented
el monto de la
so
multa
that
al que
we can
insulta al
add the
presidente.
amount
Eso
of the
no.
fee
Es
charged
más, vamos a
to
quitar
whom
ese,
insults the presidents. Matter of fact, we're
injurias al
going to
presidente.
remove that
Eso
for
no
talking
importa,
against the president. That
porque,
doesn't matter
pues, la
because
autoridad moral,
the
la
moral
autoridad
authority,
política,
political
se
authority,
gana fundamentalmente
is earned fundamentally
con
with a correct procedure and with what I estimate most important in my life, honesty. So of course they're gonna insult. Just imagine the ones that are accustomed to stealing and robbing, that were full of attention, privileges, that they felt they were the owners of Mexico. So they're really mad against the transformation that is being made. But from there, to get fined and get Aguilar Camil, get him fined that insulted me publicly. This great intellectual person, organic friend of Salinas and Cedillo, and all of them, that just would get juicy earnings for the work he made and backing the corrupt regiment. Why did this law that we need to revoke? I remember that in the memoirs one of the things that really caught my attention, that engineer Ernesto Castillo was the president of the little president. Look, VS or this, after 68, they called him Presidentito, the little presidents, and manifested his hate, his anger, because there was an opposition had given the independence grito in the University of UNAM. So there was this thing that prevailed of authoritism, that there wasn't any tolerance, since then is a vertical regimen, very strong-willed. It's really probable that took and brought the decision to utilize the presidential guard. And before as well, I think, no, it was because of he was accused that he stole, I remember now. There was this plants in the hacienda of Maderos, and from there that they were accused Francisco Madero to jail him because of the election when they stopped him in San Luis Potosí, Huayuli, I think it was. They accused him of stealing some sacks of Huayuli. See if we can find if it's a plant. It's not cultivated anymore, but then there was the Huayule. So these delinquencies were fabricated, so I don't want in any way that to maintain. We're going to take that away, and as well as we're going to take away, before I leave, the 33, famous 33. If a foreign person comes in and participates in a political situation, declares something, the 33rd is applied and he is expelled from the country. That wasn't only on the 1917 Constitution, but it was on since before, to declare a foreign pernician. Now that these conservatives came from Spain, Books,
Yo
yes.
hasta les dije que se quedaran más tiempo,
I even told them to stay longer,
conviviendo aquí con sus colegas
working
del
and
bloque
talking to
conservador,
their colleagues with the
pero
conservative
no se
bloc.
fueron rápido.
But no, they
Aquí no hay
left.
problema
They left quick.
en cuanto a
So
eso.
there's no problem when it
Y
comes
sí
to that.
vamos a seguir apoyando a las
And
mujeres.
yes, we're going to be
Sí,
backing up the
presidente,
women.
nada más esa
So
era
yes,
esa
Mr.
observación.
President, it
Nosotros
was that
decíamos,
observation.
¿cuál techo de cristal que
What
pero
crystal
parecía
roof
chivo en
that broke
cristalería con sus actitudes? La mera
looked
verdad,
like
yo
a
siento que a las mujeres mexicanas
mule,
nos
crystal mule.
falta
And I
altura
think
todavía. Le agradezco
that
mucho el apoyo a la mujer, le
authority
agradezco
for
mucho el
women,
apoyo
we
a
need a little
Cadereyta
bit
y
more work.
seguimos ahí en
And
la
I
misma
thank you for your
trinchera
assistance in
por la gente de
Cadereyta, for the
Muchas
people in
gracias, señor
Cadereyta. Thank you,
presidente.
Mr. President.
Guayule. Sí.
Guajulia was.
José Revueltas fue preso
José
la primera
Revueltas
vez
was imprisoned
cuando lo llevaron a
the
las
first
Islas Marías
times when they took
por
him to
injurias
the
al presidente.
Islas
Hay
Marias
que quitar todo
for
eso. O sea,
talking bad about the
ya
president.
nos
So
están
let's take that
escuchando
away.
los legisladores. Ojalá
Legislators are
que se
listening,
logre.
so
Lo de
hopefully that
esto de las injurias
that
al
is
presidente y
made.
lo del 33.
This is about the lies of the presidents and
A ver
of the
si
33.
logramos la modificación, porque como
Hopefully
es
that
reforma
we
constitucional lo del
earn
33, en
the
una de esas
manifestation and the.
también, no salen los conservadores de que
If we
el
do that,
33
maybe
no se
that the
toca.
conservatives start saying that the 33th Amendment
Bien,
isn't touched
la
or you
compañera.
can't touch it.
¿Qué tal? Muy buenos días, presidente. Buenos días también
Good
a todos
morning,
los
Mr.
integrantes
President.
del gabinete.
Good
Adriana
morning
Estela
to the
Flores de
cabinet.
Imer Noticias. Yo le quiero preguntar en primer lugar, presidente, acerca de un
I
tema
want
político
to ask you
electoral.
about
Ya
a
avanzó en comisiones,
electoral
el plan B de la reforma
situation,
electoral,
Plan
donde
B,
se quitó,
where
se eliminó esta cláusula de la llamada de
this
la vida eterna de los
was
partidos
removed
políticos.
of
Yo le
the
quiero preguntar,
long
presidente,
life of
¿cómo
the
ve
political
este
parties.
avance?
I want
Si
to ask
confía en que
you,
será
how do you
votado
see
en el
about this
Pleno.
advance? Do you think it's
También
going to be
si
voted
prevé
on
que en caso de
in
que
the
pase
Senate?
y sea
And in
aprobada
case that it's approved,
este segundo paquete de reformas del plan
the
B,
second
si prevé que
package,
también pueda
if you
enfrentarse un
foresee
escenario como
that
el
there's
de
an
el primer paquete
scene
de
that can be
controversias
confronted
ante la
of
Suprema
controversy
Corte.
against the
Y preguntarle también,
Supreme
presidente, sobre
Court,
declaraciones que hizo
and
ayer el
ask you
presidente del
about
INE,
the
Lorenzo
declarations
Córdoba,
that
que
Lorenzo
advertía
Córdoba
al
said
presentar el índice de desarrollo
that
democrático
had
del país,
admitted of the well-being
advertía de
of the
tener cuidado con
prosperous
despertar
movement
al
of the
México
country
bronco y
and
violento. Así
wanted
lo
to be
dijo,
careful to
aludiendo a
awaken
palabras de
the
Jesús Reyes
mean
Heroles hace
Mexicans,
45 años. Le quiero preguntar, presidente, en primer
as
lugar,
happened
acerca de estos dos
45
temas.
years ago, and want to ask you about these.
Mira, yo lo que sostengo
Well, what I always held up is
lo de la reforma
that situation about the
a la ley
reform
electoral,
to the
que
electoral
no es la
law,
reforma constitucional,
that is not
hay
the
que
constitutional
seguirlo
reform.
diciendo,
Let's keep
porque la
saying
reforma
that.
constitucional que
Because
nosotros
the constitutional
propusimos
reform that we proposed
la bloquearon,
was blocked,
que era la reforma,
which was
vamos a decir, de fondo,
the reform
porque
in depth,
era disminuir el
because it was to
presupuesto
minimize the budget
en la celebración de
in
elecciones,
celebration of
porque
elections.
el INE de México
Because INE from
es de
Mexico
los organismos electorales
is one of the
más
electoral
onerosos, más
organisms
costosos.
more honorable, more
En
costly.
general,
In
son
general,
25,000 millones
there's
de pesos
25,000 million
al año.
pesos per year.
Y además,
And
con un papel,
with
un desempeño muy
involvements and anti-democratic
porque
democratic
hay
involvements,
pruebas
because there's proof
de que cometen injusticias, de que están al servicio de los potentados, de que avalan los fraudes electorales y cuesta muchísimo. Bueno, por eso también, porque los maicean.
with the fact
como
that they're
decía
working
Porfirio Díaz,
with the
ese
rich
gallo
people,
quiere maíz. Y así controlaban,
and that's how they control.
pagándoles mucho. Imagínense, un consejero del
Paying them a
INE
lot.
gana más
Just
que el
imagine
presidente,
a counselor in the INE earns more than the president
y tienen una serie de
and has a series
prestaciones
of benefits
amplísimas,
very long.
viáticos,
They
tienen
get paid their travels, their
muchos gastos superfluos.
just overwhelming
Entonces, todo
benefits.
debería de reducirse.
So all that should be reducted. That's why the constitutional reform, to save 10, 15,000 million pesos that are really good for the development of the country. But these,
de manera
these guys
perversa, empezaron a decir,
with a tendency, they started saying that we wanted to disappear the INE.
Como hay mucha desinformación,
and since there's a lot of misinformation, because all of the media, the majority, are controlled by the powerful mafia, by the conservatives,
mucha gente se creyó esto, que era un atentado
so a lot of people started believing
a la
that
democracia.
it was an attempt for democracy,
El quitar
to take away
diputados plurinominales,
plurinominal
500 diputados. La propuesta era que queden
politicians, and the proposal was from 500 to 300,
los electos,
that the elected by the people stay there, not 200 that the bureaucratic apparatus elects
por lista.
by a
Hay
list.
legisladores
There's
que nunca han
legislators
sido votados
that have never been voted on
y que entran porque
and
forman parte de las
come in
burocracias de los partidos
because
o
they
son,
form a part of the bureaucratic parties
allegados a los dirigentes,
and or are
hasta familiares de los dirigentes de los
family
partidos,
members of
van a la
the
lista.
party members, and they got this
Ahí
list,
están.
and there they are.
Entonces, era quitar eso,
So then we wanted to
y
remove
quedaban
that,
nada más los
that only
legisladores
legislators are left that were
diputados y
elected,
senadores por el pueblo.
senators
Se
and
planteaba también en la reforma
public workers
de que
in the Senate, and
a los
also in that
consejeros
reform
del INE, a la autoridad
was planted
electoral,
to the INE,
no fuesen
the
electos
electoral
por los partidos.
movement were not chosen by the
¿Qué
parties,
hacen
because this is what they do here.
estos que están ahora?
The ones that are here, the
¿Quiénes los
counselors,
eligieron?
who chose them?
Los partidos.
The party themselves.
Un partido,
Three
otro partido,
from one party, three from
uno,
another
dos,
party,
otro partido pequeño.
one or two from a smaller party.
Yo me acuerdo que
I remember that
estaba yo en una gira
I was in this tour,
por Veracruz,
I think it was Veracruz,
en Tantoyuca.
in Tantoyuca.
Por ahí debe estar el video.
Video should be
Estaban
around
a
there
punto
somewhere.
de elegir
They're about to
a estos
choose
consejeros
these counselors
o a los
or the
magistrados del Tribunal Electoral.
magistrates of the tribunal, electoral tribunal.
Y di mi pronóstico.
And I gave
Van a
my
quedar tres de este partido, que no lo quiero mencionar
vision,
ahora,
and
tres
there was
del otro,
these
pero de
three
esos
of this
partidos
party
cada
that I
ellos
don't
son
want to
juntos.
mention, and three of this other parties that are together now. So that
Entonces, ¿qué planteábamos con la reforma
was
constitucional?
planted with the constitutional reform,
Electos los consejeros por el
that
pueblo,
the councilors were elected by
en
the people
elecciones.
in elections,
Mujeres, hombres,
women, men,
que el Poder Ejecutivo
where the executive power
presentara 20
presented 20
candidatos. El
candidates,
Legislativo 20,
that
y el
legislative
judicial 20, 60.
20, and judicial had 20 as well,
Se entregaran boletas con los 60 nombres.
and that these ballots were turned in
Que
with
se
60 names,
difundiera quiénes eran.
that it was spread out that as to who it
Que
was,
se supiera que ellos
that
hablaban
everybody
con
knew,
ellos. Y que la gente los escogiera.
and that the people choose their candidates.
Mitad mujer, mitad hombre.
Have men,
Y
have
que
women,
ellos dirigieran tanto el INE
and
como
that they can direct,
en un
whether it's the
procedimiento
INE in
similar
a
a
similar
los magistrados del tribunal.
procedure,
Bueno, todo
the
eso fue
magistrate of the
rechazado,
tribunal. Well, all of that was rejected
porque para hacer una reforma
because
constitucional,
to do a
no se
political
requiere la
reform,
mayoría,
constitutional reform, The majority is not required, so it's 50 plus 1, so it's 2/3 is required, and since PRI and PAN are joined, they don't have majority, but they can block, and that's what they did. And in view of that, since it's a responsibility, I'm not accomplice or backing of mafias. So what did I state? So let's at least do a reform to the law. It's not a constitutional reform. So reform to the law, electoral law, is really limited because it's not going to transgrade nothing that is already in the Constitution. It can't be done. So the margin for the electoral reform is very, very limited. And what was proposed? What did I propose? Well, just an adjustment. Reduce the spending. Oh, no, they couldn't do that. They hold that up as a aggravant to democracy. There's a whole entire campaign about that. But in the end, it's not even that. Look at what the politic is, or the rodent ways of conservatism in politics. In the end, what they want is to regroup, use any reason, any flag to attack the government that I represent. So it's not about them worried about democracy. Oh no. What they want is to take on the government, undermine the government, and so the transformation doesn't happen, and so that they can return for their old ways to keep stealing or to keep being part of a political class that is privileged. What they want, of course, is for this to continue, where all the interests are included less than the interest of the people. That's why I speak about conservatism, because it's those are the ones that don't want it to change. Conservatism wants us to keep going the way we are, what was established. And what we are looking for is, of course, a transformation. So that's why everybody starts regrouping. And they are convoking this manifestation this next Sunday. But just so people know that there are coming, because there's a group of corrupt, created interests that want to come back in power, to keep robbing. People need to know that, and so they don't come here and, oh, it's because we fight for democracy and democracy is being affected. So it's really important that people know why they're coming.
Están convencidos de que estaba bien el régimen de corrupción, de injusticias, de privilegios, pues que vengan. Si les gusta ese régimen,
so the regimen, they like it, they are in their right. So it's kind of a masochist way,
no se puede evitar, somos libres.
But it can't be avoided. We're free. Do you think Lorenzo Córdoba is in this block? Yes, of course. Lorenzo Córdoba and Claudio X González.
Krause y Aguilar Camín, todos los que vivían del presupuesto o sacaban beneficios del presupuesto.
Yes, that in the budget they would take out and benefit from there. And now we prefer to have the people get what they would get to them, because they would dedicate themselves to receive. Just imagine the journalists that would receive a lot of money, those famous. Because I calculate more or less that they would give the information media, just the federals, or just the ones that would charge for money of the federal budget, like 20 million, 20,000 million per year. Because that was how one of the witnesses said in Coahuila that suddenly they come in accordance with a newspaper, and there was cash in those bags, and even he speaks that it was a fake receipt, a receipt with no registry. So it's a lot of money, and we've shown you what Krause used to get, what Aguilar Camín had received. The main news journalist members. So it's just about to look for certain things, where do they live, the supposed intellectuals, organic intellectuals. Where do these newspaper guys live, journalists? They don't live in middle class locations, I'll tell you that. Nope. None of the ones that are here live like they do, and we got journalists here. And the majority of the journalists. No, these are the most famous, the public informants, the ones that would help the regiment and would charge a very good quantity. What's about, okay, so they get 10 of these famous people and just go see where they live. And then you can bring me the information so I can put it on here. You can help me with that. So I reiterate about the declarations of Córdoba. Is there a risk where he says that let's be careful with the democratic laws of a strong, wrong Mexico is going to awake? Well, that's not a problem, because the people are really responsible, and they have divorced themselves from the people, because they've never were in correspondence, in communication with the people. This Lorenzo Córdoba guy is the one that was making fun of some indigenous,
que mostró su racismo.
where he showed his racism.
Entonces, ¿qué amor le puede tener al
So
pueblo?
what love
O
would he have, or what respect
Nada.
would he have for the people? Nothing.
Ellos pertenecen a una
They
élite.
belong to this elites.
Es la llamada
It's the
sociedad
so-called
política,
political society.
¿cómo le llaman?
What do they call
El
it?
círculo rojo.
The red circle.
No saben ver hacia abajo.
They can't see
Yo
downwards.
creo que ni platican con sus choferes.
They don't even speak to their drivers or their assistants, and they need to. They're probably
prepotentes. O sea,
strong-minded against them and treat them bad.
La gente
So people
actúa con mucha responsabilidad.
act with a lot of responsibility, but aside from that, people are in favor that the transformation continues.
Nada más vean lo que sucedió ayer.
Well, just look what happened yesterday.
Antier.
Oh, the day before yesterday. In Tamaulipas. And why am I going to repeat it?
Porque no salió nada.
Because nothing was in the media.
Y ahora sí que tengan para que aprendan.
And now, well,
¿Por
look,
qué no pones el resultado
why don't you put the results of the
de senador
election
en Tamaulipas?
of senator in Tamaulipas?
Sí, voy ahí, no, pero no ahora, pero
Yes, I'm
lo
going to
que
be
quiero
there,
es
but
mostrarle lo que
not now.
lo que
I'm gonna.
ocultaron
What I want to show you is what they were hiding.
los medios
The media,
convencionales.
conventional media.
No, acuérdate que tú planteaste.
Now remember that
aquí-
you
Sí,
planted this.
sí, sí. Bueno, es que hay muchas cosas que
Well,
no
there's
se
a lot
pueden
of things
quitar,
that you can't take out because.
porque sí, pero sí se quitó lo que planteaste.
But what you mentioned
¿Cómo
was
se llama?
taken
La vida
care of.
eterna,
Sí, la
¿o cómo
cláusula
era?
de la vida eterna.
Sí.
The eternal life law.
Espérame.
But wait,
Tú
hold
tampoco
on.
te enteraste de esto, ¿verdad?
Because you didn't really know about this, right?
Esto es lo que pasó el domingo
This is what happened Sunday
en Tamaulipas.
in Tamaulipas.
Y fíjense que para hacer
And
una
just notice that
del Senado
to be extraordinary of the Senate,
fueron muchos
extraordinary election, there was a lot of voting.
el candidato del Verde,
El
porque
Verde
esto es lo que
candidate,
debería de estar
because this is what
tomando en cuenta
should be noticing,
el presidente del INE,
president of El INE.
pero de esto no habla.
But he doesn't speak about that, does he?
El candidato del Verde, 23,256 votos.
From El Verde's
Y esto es para que
23.259
allá en
votes,
Chihuahua,
1,000
en
votes.
Sonora,
This is
en
in
Quintana
Chihuahua,
Roo,
en Sonora, en Quintana Roo, en Chiapas,
Oaxaca, donde nos están
Oaxaca,
viendo,
where they're watching us,
ay, nuestros paisanos
and our paisans
también
as well.
se informen. Obtuvo el 3.93, casi 4%.
3.93%.
Muñoz Cano.
Muñoz Cano here, from El Partido Verde.
La candidata de
Candidate for
bloque conservador.
the conservative bloc, PRI, PAN, PRD.
PAN, PRI, PRD. ¿Se acuerdan cuando decían que no era cierto?
Remember when they said it wasn't true
Que estaban juntos.
that they were together?
Que yo decía el PRIAN.
That I used to call them PRIAN?
Y cómo querían engañar.
And how they wanted to
Que eran
lie
distintos.
that they were different?
Porque Salinas quería un modelo
Because Salinas
bipartidista,
wanted a bipartisan model
en donde ganara uno o ganara
where
el
if
otro,
one won or the other
siempre
one,
fuese lo mismo.
there would always be the same thing.
Nunca perdieran los de arriba.
None of the ones on top would lose.
Es
That was
como
their agreement.
La diferencia que puede haber entre
It's
la
like the
Coca-Cola y
difference
la
between
Pepsi-Cola,
Coca-Cola and Pepsi.
Era lo que querían.
That's what they wanted.
Pero no lo lograron
But they couldn't do it
porque surgió un movimiento
because there was this movement, another movement.
Y entonces ya no les quedó más que unirse
So they didn't have anything else to do but to
y
join
quitarse la máscara.
and take their masks off.
Y ya forman un bloque
And then they form this bloc,
conservador.
conservative bloc.
Que esta es la formalidad.
And this is formality, of
Pero aquí
course.
está Claudio X González.
But Claudio X Gonzalez is
Aquí
here.
están algunos empresarios
Some
que eran
workers
consentidos del régimen,
that are
como los hijos
regiments
predilectos
babies as
del
the
antiguo régimen,
predilects
banqueros y empresarios.
from the elites, bankers,
No todos los
business owners, not
empresarios,
all the business owners,
pero sí un grupo muy
but
selecto,
a
que no
very
pagaba
select group,
impuestos.
that there was no
Como ahora tienen que pagar,
tax payments as they
están
have to pay now,
molestísimos.
and so they're
Y
mad.
a este bloque pertenecen, pues,
And
los dueños y
to these
algunos
people
periodistas
are
famosos.
a lot
Y
of
cada
famous
empresa
people, but every
periodística,
company,
porque no
because
es que el periodismo lo
it's
lleven a
not
cabo
about
los
that the
periodistas
journalists
o los
do
comunicadores,
journalism.
son empresarios
It's business
y tienen
owners, most business
una
owners
empresa
with them have a company
de comunicación o de
of communication,
información
of information,
periodística
or
para
a news outlet
chantajear,
to lie,
para amenazar
to threaten,
y para obtener
and
preventas,
to obtain pre-sales,
como
such as
una forma de presionar.
a way
Entonces,
to
aquí están
pressure.
también ellos.
So they're
No
here.
todos los periodistas, desde luego.
All the newscasts,
Hay excepciones honrosas.
there's a few
Y aquí
honorable
están
exceptions, of course, but
también
here
estos
you can see
grupos de intelectuales que
these
se fueron formando
intellectual
desde
groups that
Salinas,
were formed by
tanto el
and since the
grupo
time of Salinas,
de Krause como el
like
grupo
the group of Krause
de
and
Aguilar
the Aguilar Camil group
que incluyen
that included
historiadores,
historians,
antropólogos,
anthropologists,
hasta,
historians,
gente dedicada
and even people that are
a
dedicated
la ciencia, a la
to the
tecnología,
science, technology,
pero se agrupan aquí. Porque, por ejemplo,
and they are
en
grouped
CONACYT,
here.
¿qué
For
había?
example, in CONACYT,
En ciencia
what
y
did we have
tecnología,
there? In science and
la mayor
technology,
parte del presupuesto
majority of the
lo utilizaban
budget was used
cuando dominaban ellos
when they dominated
para financiar
to
empresas
finance
particulares. O sea, la investigación
particular
no se
companies.
dirigía
So the investigation was
a
not directed to
obtener
obtain
productos
products
que beneficiaran
that
al
would
pueblo,
benefit the people,
sino se daba
but
subsidio a
subsidiaries
empresas
were giving
particulares
to
para
particular
productos
companies
comerciales.
for commercial products.
Entonces, aquí
So then here, the block,
que es muy interesante,
that is really interesting.
pero miren,
But look at this, 130,000 votes.
22%.
22% of it they got.
Y acá, Morena,
And here, Morena,
que apenas si se ve,
you can barely see it.
se ve más el PT,
PT is bigger. Allied.
con este candidato José Ramón Gómez
With this
Leal,
candidate, Jose Gomez Leal,
421,000 votos.
421,000 votes.
71.3%.
71.3%.
Entonces,
And so,
tengo que estar
I have to be
tratando estos temas
reminding these
porque no salen
things because
en los medios,
in the media they don't show that.
porque los medios convencionales
Conventional
ahora se
media
dedican
are now
como
dedicated
nunca
as
a
ever
atacar al presidente,
to attack the president.
como nunca.
As never
El
before,
antecedente más
the
remoto, pues,
furthest
fue lo que le hicieron
that we've seen this before was
Francisco Madero.
when what they did to Francisco Madero
con el llamado fondo de los
with that
reptiles.
so-called reptile
Es
funds.
que Gustavo
It's because Gustavo Madero
que lo asesinaron
was
de manera
assassinated
cruel.
in a cruel way.
Llega Francisco Madero a la
Gets
presidencia,
Francisco
hombre bueno,
Madero
y quería la libertad, incapaz de censurar a nadie. Y a Gustavo Madero le molesta, ¿no?
And Gustavo Madero
Que
is
todo el
bothered
periodismo
that all
sometido
journalists
a Porfirio Díaz
submissioned
se vuelve opositor.
to Porfirio Diaz becomes
Y
opposing.
por eso le sale la frase esa,
And that's why that
le
phrase,
muerden la mano
they bite the hand
al que les quitó el bozal.
to whom the
Eso no se
mouthpiece
lo
was
perdonaron
removed.
nunca. Por eso se
By
necesita
that they never forgive. So it needs,
tener estómago
you need to
para leer la
have some
crónica
stomach
de cómo
to read the
lo
chronicle
asesinaron.
of how he was killed.
No cualquiera resiste.
Not anybody, not just
Esa
anybody resists
crónica sobre la
that
crueldad,
chronicle
sobre la manera en que lo asesinan. con
about the
tanto odio.
cruelty, the way they killed him with a lot of
Entonces,
hate.
Esto es lo que
And
está
so,
sucediendo. Ayer,
this
por
is what's
ejemplo,
happening.
fíjense cómo
Yesterday, for example,
se han perdido
we've lost
medios como
media outlets like Proceso.
que era de lo poco que había,
That was some of the few that was really
como
some of the few
órganos independientes
that was left as independent
en la época
companies
del autoritarismo.
of information in the
Porque
authoritarianism
con Huerta,
times,
después
because with Huerta
el asesinato de Madero,
and then the assassination of Madero,
todos se vuelven a alinear,
everybody aligns themselves again.
se convierte en director del periódico
This
porfirista
Porfirian time director
del asesinato de Madero, con
of
Huerta,
Madero assassination.
se convierte en director del Imparcial.
With
Se llamaba el
Huerta,
periódico que
it
protegía
comes
a Porfirio
the
Díaz.
director of
Se vendía
Imparcial,
mucho. Se tiraban 120,000 ejemplares diarios.
and there
en
was
aquel entonces. No hay ningún
120,000
periódico ahora.
newspapers
Bueno,
that would
menos con
be presented. There's no newspapers now,
redes.
as
Pero
the
Huerta pasa a ser,
social media, web pages.
el poeta Salvador Díaz Merón
So
pasa a
Huerta,
ser director
Salvador Díaz
con
Merón,
Huerta del periódico
becomes
El
director
Imparcial. Hijo,
of El Imparcial,
un gran poeta. ¿Sí? Y empieza a arrastrarse. Y se
this great
someten
poet starts
periodistas
coming in,
y
and
escritores y todo. Y a partir de ahí,
media members start coming in.
hasta ahora, porque pues ni modo que Televisa atacara a Peña.
And they start fighting against Peña and attacking him.
Presidente Peña tenía
President
el
Peña
apoyo de
had
todos los
the
medios de
backup of
información.
all the media outlets,
Pero no solo Televisa, todos los medios.
but not only Televisa,
antes-
but all the media.
De Peña,
And before Peña
Calderón,
was Calderón,
silencio
silent.
de todos los medios cuando se roban la presidencia.
And when the presidency is stolen,
Silencio.
there was silence.
En Reforma, cuando protestábamos,
The Reforma, the newspaper Reforma, when we
se hablaba de que habían marchas
denounced them,
de
and there was these marches
500,000, 800,000
of 500,000,
personas,
800,000, 1 million,
empezó a contarnos
started counting
notarios públicos.
with public
con
notary,
Decía, no,
and they would say
son
no.
500,000. Son apenas
It wasn't 500,000. It's barely
y
200,000.
completamente a favor del
And
fraude.
completely in favor of the fraud.
Y todos los intelectuales,
And all the
Krause,
intellectuals,
Aguilar Camil,
Krause, Aguilar Camil, they all signed. Lorenzo Córdoba,
firmando desplegados
signing
de que no
these
había fraude
signatures, that there wasn't a fraud going on.
En el 2006. Entonces les pagan.
And so they get paid.
Lo nombran.
They name them.
Presidente del INE. Por poner un caso. Pues.
They name him the president of the INE. Just so I can put a case on there.
Ahora es un comportamiento distinto. Les decía yo del proceso.
It's a different
no sé si está aquí la
situation. I'm not sure the director is here. The reporter.
No es nada contigo,
It's nothing against you, okay?
Y no es nada personal.
And it's nothing personal.
Es que se trata de asuntos
it's about
de mucha profundidad.
Situations of debt,
Está en juego la
a big
de
debt, because transformation in Mexico is in the game here, and the authoritarianism, corrupt regime, anti-democratic, has given us a lot of damage as peoples, and that's what I try to avoid. And so that Mexico is a great power, not only in the economical realm, but in their greatness, cultural greatness, corruption, and the role of complicity of the media has hurt Mexico. So we were speaking about yesterday about the report of Proceso, about the army. We're going to give you that response today, but what caught my attention really, see maybe if you have it, the Proceso report that speaks about a purchase of various purchases, but I'm going to tell you about one where there's 100,000 pesos. Here, let me see. Just so that you can see it, because they're not going to say, oh, we were wrong, right? So they're speaking about something else after. Article says, First of September of 2020, I got a contract of about $433 million. This is what the article says here. Of a company that received this contract from Secretary of Defense, the company in Tanmount, result of the licitation, public licitation, and then you have the number next to it, observations to what the process affirms, the newspaper Proceso affirms. From this was only adjudicated the seventh part of it to the company, to the company of reference for an amount of $432,900. So you say it's 433 million, right? $433 million, right? So we're talking about 8,000 million pesos, right? So help me out. $433 million pesos. And the contract
es de
is of $423,000.
O sea, 8 millones.
So 8 million.
Se equivocaron por muy poquito,
You were wrong just a little bit.
No, por eso digo, es que hicieron
yes, I know, but
muy bien las cuentas.
You guys did you counted pretty good.
Lo voy a repetir.
There was just a little bit. I'm going to repeat it again.
O sea, it's a
really irresponsibility that, and I have to put it on here because we're going to turn it in. Here it is. This is what you guys got. $433 million of this contract, supposed contract, that there are 8 million, 8,000 million pesos, but it was actually 432,000, from 8 million to 8,000 million.
¿Qué van a hacer?
What are you going to do now?
No.
We're going to give you everything, but it's just a part.
Ya ustedes van a aclarar, pues.
Then you guys will clear that up, then?
Yo entrego la información.
I'll give you the information.
Todo se puede hacer.
Everything can be done.
Menos el ridículo.
But not be ridiculized in vain.
Presidente, en estas críticas que usted ha hecho de manera reiterada contra los medios,
and these criticism that you've done to the media, aren't you gonna also say something about the journalism that are not able to be informed precisely for being in danger of not being able to work, considering your criticism, and if you don't consider that these positioning about media of certain journalists that you've been very specified in saying certain numbers, names, and publications, if you don't consider that this adds to the climate of impunity that is still there for a lot of cases of journalism, about the 13 that were registered last year, there's been reported the case of a journalist named Abisai in Estado de Hidalgo. There's not a reflect on this as well. It's about the majority of the journalists, and journalism belongs to the group of economical and political power that has dominated, and I reiterate, has caused a lot of pain to the country and the people of Mexico. So then they felt untouchable. You know what they're bothered and what bothers them? This was never news to them. Never. And now, of course, whom form a part of this dominant class will have to be noticed. But there's others that aren't, Mr. President. No, there aren't, of course. But I'm always clarifying that there are journalists that are honest, like you guys, like you, la compañera, like the lady there of Proceso. What does she have to do with it? She works there. No, it's the thing is up on top. Or do you guys operate the electoral politics? Do you? Do you think that the one that comes through the newscast and comes out and speaks in the radio or on television is the one that writes, or the ones that do the columns in newspapers is the one that decides about the content? That's not true. That's incorrect. Everything is decided upstairs. So what we want is that there's liberty of press, not to negotiate with liberty of press. Very few. And this has nothing to do with the journalists. For nothing to do. Are respecting, the contrary. That they involve themselves to defend to whatever they have to do because they form a part of the corruption and they get bothered about it because, oh yeah, they are very adjusted to chop, to question in depth they were the judges. And it comes, turns out, they don't have moral authority. And if the press acts as in a tendency way of a gang or are part of a gang of these gangsters, what future does the country have?
Que acabo de ver hace 2 o 3 días, a ver si le encuentran, de Chomsky, sobre la opinión general o el papel de los medios empresariales. A ver si la consigue. Porque es interesante el tema. Y la mayoría de los medios, la mayoría de los periodistas, mujeres y hombres, pues gente buena. Y hay algunos que incluso, hasta creo que los de Reforma que vienen aquí, que se portan muy bien, son muy respetuosos, muy correctos, pues hasta deben de hacer sus notas, ¿no?, apegadas a lo que yo les digo, pero van allá y pasan por el Departamento de la Censura, de Corte y Confección, y ya no sale nada. A ver si encuentras a Chomsky. Pero es muy interesante. Entonces, no es los medios, también te aclaro, porque pues todos estos organismos financiados por las empresas privadas y por el extranjero, como el artículo 19, pues una vez hasta nos sacaron una condena de, ¿cómo se llama el Congreso de Europa?
El Parlamento Europeo.
El Parlamento Europeo, ¿sí?, de que estábamos persiguiendo y se estaban asesinando periodistas. Y ustedes ven los asesinatos de periodistas lamentables completamente. ¿Sí? Nada tiene que ver con el gobierno de nosotros. O sea, nosotros no mandamos a asesinar a nadie, no torturamos a nadie, ¿sí?, no damos las órdenes para que desaparezcan las personas, ¿sí?, no damos las órdenes para que haya masacres. Eso ya cambió. Y como lo decía la compañera, ¿sí?, Rosa Isela, no es García Luna. O sea, hay una gran diferencia. Y el caso de García Luna está muy interesante, ¿eh?, lo que va a resolver el jurado, porque en una de esas, toco madera, va a ser como el parto de los montes.
¿Qué va a pasar con
¿Van a parir un ratón? Pueden.
¿Qué va a pasar con todo lo que se dijo, presidente?
Salir con que no hay nada. Nosotros no vamos a dejar este asunto. Vamos es buenísima. Miren, el propósito de los medios masivos no es tanto informar y reportar lo que sucede, sino más bien dar forma a la opinión pública de acuerdo a las agendas del poder corporativo dominante. Ustedes no se dejen, se pueden quedar callados, pero vendan su trabajo, no su conciencia.
Presidente, y ya nada más se me permite, ¿qué va a pasar con estas investigaciones, sobre todo lo que se dijo en el juicio contra García Luna allá en Estados Unidos? ¿Se van a abrir investigaciones aquí en México con base en esa información?
Pues imagínense si sale en el juicio de que el señor sus bienes los consiguió con unos créditos, con tandas, cuando existe una denuncia en Florida en donde el grupo que él representaba en todos los negocios llegó a manejar alrededor de 700 millones de dólares y tienen unidades habitacionales. ¿Cómo se llaman estas? No es unidad habitacional, eso es donde viven los trabajadores o las clases medias. No, conjuntos, departamentos, pues, en una torre 10, en otra torre otros 10, casas, yates, y ahí está la denuncia. ¿Cómo es que en una investigación de este tipo, que tardan 3 años recabando pruebas, resulta que una de las primeras decisiones que toman en la Corte es que no se va a tomar en cuenta lo adquirido por García Luna después de que terminó su encargo como secretario de Seguridad Pública? Que nada más, es rarísimo, se puede investigar lo que obtuvo en el tiempo que fue secretario de Seguridad Pública. ¿Qué no sabían en la Corte de Estados Unidos? Que existía esta denuncia en un juzgado de Florida. ¿No lo sabían los fiscales? Después, pero mucho antes del juicio. La denuncia se presenta en el 2020. y estamos en el 23. Casi, o sea, a García Luna lo detienen creo que en el 19, del 19, y la denuncia se presenta 20 o 21. A ver, ¿cuándo se presenta la denuncia? En el 20. Y además, cuando se presenta la denuncia, se inconforman los abogados de García Luna y porque sostienen de que si los supuestos actos de corrupción se cometieron aquí, no tienen por qué ser juzgados o no puede por qué aceptarse, no tiene por qué aceptarse la denuncia en Florida. Y se reafirma por una instancia a la que acudieron de que sí era correcto presentar la denuncia civil en Florida porque ahí están los bienes. O sea, no estamos hablando de una denuncia que se presentó y que se quedó congelada. No, ya se está litigando por las partes. Los abogados que representan al gobierno de México son de estos abogados que yo no sabía ¿cómo se llamaban, Jesús? Estos que cobran por pro bono, de lo que van a obtener, cobran un porcentaje. Ah, no, este es un porcentaje. Este es un porcentaje. Y a nosotros nos importó mucho porque independientemente de las acusaciones contra García Luna y contra los relacionados con García Luna, pues están los bienes de México, que suele pasar que siempre se quedan en Estados Unidos. Entonces, con esta denuncia lo que se busca es que esos bienes se recuperen. Pero es contestando tu pregunta, va a ser muy importante esperar el resultado.
¿Se tomarán en cuenta estos elementos para investigar aquí en México a Felipe Calderón también, presidente?
Vamos a ver lo que resulte. Nada más que tenemos que ventilarlo todo, porque la vida pública tiene que ser cada vez más pública y vamos a esperar el resultado final del caso.
Gracias.
Sí, está decidido, nada más estoy haciendo una investigación sobre cómo es el procedimiento, pero claro que sí. Fíjense, si no me va a extrañar el juicio, que al final de cuentas yo fui el único señalado. Esto me recuerda a la elección del 2012, que acusamos al candidato del PRI, el licenciado Peña, de haber gastado más, como se demostró después. Sí, con lo de Pemex, con lo que ya declaró el director de Pemex, con lo de Odebrecht, que habían gastado más de lo establecido en la ley en su campaña, habían rebasado el tope. ¿Qué creen que resolvieron los del INE y los del tribunal? Que no, que él no había gastado más. El que había gastado más era yo. que yo fui el que rebasé el tope. Pues así está esto. Está interesante, ¿no? Entonces vamos a fondo, a fondo. Además, también me llamó mucho la atención, ¿cómo es que no entra lo de Rápido y Furioso? Si hay hasta un expediente en Estados Unidos. La entrada de armas, ¿sí? Por un convenio entre autoridades de Estados Unidos y autoridades mexicanas. Es lo que vamos a ver, si se está protegiendo, a quiénes. Es la oportunidad de ir a fondo. Estados Unidos tenía antes dos grandes instituciones, bueno, tres, desde su fundación, y esto lo describe muy bien Tocqueville en su libro La democracia en América, una institución que todavía está vigente. Es la de la democracia participativa, fíjense. Todavía hay lugares en Estados Unidos en donde si se va a podar un árbol en una colonia, se tiene que hacer una consulta. Eso viene de la fundación de Estados Unidos, desde la llegada de los ingleses, la democracia. Otra institución importantísima era su prensa, completamente libre. Eso se fue perdiendo, porque ahora los periódicos más famosos están sometidos a intereses. Y la tercera institución rigurosa, ejemplar, era el sistema de procuración de justicia, el sistema judicial. Por eso, fíjense, todos los opositores mexicanos, todos los rebeldes, opositores al autoritarismo en México, desde Hidalgo, ¿por qué detienen a Hidalgo? En Coahuila. Iba al norte, lo detienen en Coahuila, ¿cómo se llama ahí? Cerca de Monclova, donde lo detuvieron. Acatita de Baján, cerca de Monclova. Iba al norte, ya lo toman preso y ya lo llevan a Chihuahua y allá lo asesinan, pero iba al norte. Juárez, cuando nos invaden,
to Chihuahua.
Al norte, a Paso del Norte, lo que es ahora Ciudad Juárez.
He was going to el norte and Chihuahua.
2 años resistiendo.
2 years he's there, resisting. Madero
entra después de que sale de la cárcel de San Luis Potosí, se va a San Antonio.
Then he leaves the jail in San Luis Potosí and goes to San Antonio.
De Estados Unidos.
And comes in from the U.S.
Primero a Piedras Negras.
First to Piedras Negras.
A Ciudad Juárez.
And then to Ciudad Juárez.
Enfrentar al ejército porfirista.
And comes in to take care of the Porfirian army. After the 2010 information interest, he comes in through the north. The newspapers there were with the regiment. For example, Flores Magón and many others. Where did they go? They go to the U.S., right? Because there, if they were stopped, as happened with Flores Magón, they could do with one judge, they can receive some liberties. And over here was hit and run. It was about killing them right away. So the judicial powers there, it was a system of justice
profesional. Es todo lo que está en juego ahora. Sí. ¿Qué tanto han mantenido?
It's all that is on the line now. How much have the institution been held with justice and liberty and honesty? So it's really interesting, this Genaro Garcia Luna trial.
Estoy esperando que me informen cómo sería.
I'm still trying to inform myself
en dónde es que procede, si procede,
how to proceed or if it proceeds.
Pero
but
en unos días más vamos a saber.
In a few more days we're going to know. Well, I'll be informing you here.
Jefe del Estado mexicano, servidor Carlos Pozos.
Carlos Pozos.
La molécula oficial y columnista de la revista Petróleo y Energía. Buenos días al Gabinete de Seguridad y buenos
Good
días
morning to the Security Cabinet
de Banobras.
And all the institution of Banobras.
Justamente, presidente, por estos
and
90 años
due to these 90 years of Banobras, in Mexico, there's a great story, unfortunately, of millions of dollars of money handling the wrong way. But one of the frauds of major relevancy occurred in 2012, in the last year of Felipe Calderón, ex-president of El PAN. In that year, President Pemex, through exploration and production, formalized an international company to obtain the contracts to complete oil wells and production. They obtained more than millions of pesos and public services of Society of Credit. Nevertheless, none of these were provided, and went through this information, and the prosecution office kept it, and only one was detained, Sosa, and remind that Calderón in 2003 was named by Vicente Fox director of Banobras in 2003. President, these acts of corruption show that the alternates in 2000, where the estafeta and PRI gives PAN, was to preserve a corrupt parallel. These people, and about Genaro Garcia Luna, was probably even be free. You, as leader of the state, know if the prosecution has the petition of extradition towards the, and along with the public relations, international relations, is there a request for that? Yes, there's penal. There's penal denouncements and claims. The thing about Banobras,
me acordé ahora, fíjate.
I just remembered.
Sabe uno más por viejo que...
One knows more because of the age, but...
Felipe Calderón fue...
Felipe Calderón was director of Banobras 2003. What do you think he did?
Lo primero que hizo.
First thing he did.
Llevaba un mes de director de Banobras. Esto no lo hizo.
He had a month there.
Sino Calderón. Un mes y pidió un crédito.
He asked for credit.
A Banobras para construir su casa.
To create his home
para no
for Banobras.
Comprarse su casa. Porque los funcionarios de Banobra antes, ¿cómo está Jorge?
Because Banobra before, how is it, George? That they had, there was credits for cars and they were eliminated.
Después de 3 años, pero llegando, solicitó su crédito.
But this one, just arriving, solicited his credit, and since it was made public with a friend of his, of a close functionary partner that was working in El Canadiense, Scotiabank, transferred the credit because since it was a great scandal, but the first thing he did was provide his own credit. And I'm sure then, on that time, how we need to be investigating really as journalists. At that time, there was funds of savings funds for the public servants. If one would earn 100,000, they would leave 10 per month, and the government with those funds would bring in another 10,000. So then there was savings of 20,000 a month. When they would finish their work, they would take all those savings when they would pass to another dependency. Do you remember how much? Do you know how much it cost us to maintain those funds per year? This is information for the people that are going to come protest on Sunday. It cost us 6,000 million pesos per year, and that disappeared. That's why they're really mad. But they didn't have any limits. Government was overtaken. It was for them, those who worked in the government, in exchange for the government to be in the service of those that were dedicating themselves to obtain goods from the nation in benefits to a minority. That was the role of the government, a facilitator of corruption, and so that the apparatus would maintain themselves with that purpose, they will oil it pretty good. Alright, so we're going to go have breakfast. So my second question, Mr. President. Second question is, with the motive, if they say that if there's no question, look, so Joaquin Lopez Doriga being Spanish, does not recognize our country when it comes to public relations. We maintain the doctrine, the same declared as 2030, 1930, and cannot maintain any information. And his partners of Radio Formula are always reminding them, why haven't you condemned Daniel Ortega, President of Nicaragua? Do you condone or condemn the relation to the human rights of the murder of the Nicaraguan people? Let's go have breakfast and we'll answer that. Well, thank you very much. Well, there you go. That was President of Mexico. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here with me. We'll see you tomorrow. Y vamos a estar en la marcha del domingo. Entonces, if any of you, si alguno de ustedes gusta estar ahí conmigo, nos vemos ahí en el Zócalo aproximadamente. Bueno, les estaré informando la hora. I will be informing about the dates and the time. It's going to be on Sunday, but I'll be informing about the time. I'll be there probably noon, but I'll inform this week what time exactly and where we'll meet to be there and kind of help out the presidents. Hopefully that you can be there. Espero que puedan estar ahí, tratar de apoyar al presidente. Vamos a estar ahí el domingo físicamente, apoyando nada más, tranquilamente apoyando al presidente López Obrador. Thank you very much, and we'll see you then. But I'll see you tomorrow in tomorrow's Mr. President's Conference, President of Mexico, Andrés Manuel Lopez Obrador, morning conference, tomorrow, Wednesday. Bye-bye now.